want to welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, so make sure you head over there. Let them know that DT sent you, and of course you can get a sneak peek of everything from Great Lakes Honda City with their new and used vehicles, buying and leasing. Head to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. A lot of great stuff coming up today, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You're with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Today, we are going to be premiering an all-new segment to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, never been seen or heard before. And we call this segment Who's Got Next? And this Who's Got Next segment is proudly presented exclusively from Game Point Sports Complex. Game Point Sports Complex, you hear from Jim every broadcast here of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You have the opportunity to hear what Jim Dispenza has to say, and Jim and I having the opportunity to bring you that spotlight on Game Point Sports Complex, something he created that's only a couple months old. It is a fantastic indoor facility, and you have climate control in there. You have the natural light that comes in. 2 courts. You can have multiple sports going on at the same time. Floor hockey, basketball, pickleball, volleyball, cheerleading, and more, including having your parties there. Game Point Sports Complex is a state-of-the-art place that has nothing like it in Syracuse, New York. I wish I had this place as a kid. I'm grateful to God that we have this place now. Game Point Sports and Jim Dispenza, thank you for all you do. And the inaugural episode of our monthly video series, Who's Got Next?, features Brandon Triche, the winningest Syracuse basketball player. In his time at Syracuse, no one has won more games in their span of time with the Syracuse Orange than Brandon Triche. And of course, went to Jamesville-DeWitt before that, and then went on and had a long career playing professional basketball. Now he is training and potentially training you at Game Point Sports Complex. So, Who's Got Next coming up in just a moment, and that'll be followed by our normal Monday conversation, DT and Murphy, with Brendan Murphy joining me to speak on the Major League Baseball Wild Card race, as well as college football's Week 4, Syracuse's defeat of Clemson at Clemson, which has never happened until now. The NFL Week 3, GG Cards and Breaks brings you Sports Card Show and Tell, with Murph coming off the Philly show and me coming off 2 box breaks, proudly presented by GG Cards and Breaks, that we did over the weekend. So a lot of great stuff coming up. With that being said, without further ado, it is time for me to unveil something that I've very impatiently been waiting to do. Who's Got Next? A new monthly video series on Wake Up Call, brought to you exclusively by Game Point Sports Complex. And my first guess, none other than the one, the only, good friend of mine, Brandon Triche.
What's up, everyone? Dan Tortora here of Wake Up Call, sitting next to one of the Jamesville-DeWitt, Syracuse Orange, overseas basketball professionally greats, and someone that I consider a friend, which more importantly than anything, that's what I think about when I think about this gentleman, Brandon Triche. We are here at Game Point Sports Complex on 211 South Center Street in East Syracuse, and I believe that they built around Triche. When they were putting the Game Point thing together, he was on the court, and they were putting the walls up around him and the ceilings and all that, and the roof. So happy to be here with Triche. This is our inaugural segment here for Game Point Sports Complex on Wake Up Call, called Who's Got Next? Mm-hmm. So, Triche, happy that you're my first time that I get to talk about this.
Man, this is incredible. Obviously, I wish, it was built around me, but it just so happened to happen that, the perfect time. Jim asked me to be a part of it, and, I was free to do it. So, I've been here, training kids and things like that. and, you know, trying to make this gym as big as possible.
You know, and you and I, growing up in this community, I mean, I picked up a basketball, I think, when I was 3. Played organized at the Pastime down on North Salina Street when I was 7. Yeah. And so we didn't have anything like this. What are your thoughts on the fact that kids in the community, adults in the community, have Game Point Sports Complex, which is something that I feel like you and I probably would have been here every day growing up?
I think it's incredible. It's a dual sport type of a gym. Yeah. I believe they're going to have volleyball, pickleball. I seen floor hockey, you know, here like a couple weeks ago. So you got multiple sports. For me personally, I had like JCC up on Thompson Road that when I was 9 years old, I was going there and I'm just finding gym time. And that's a full-length court, you know what I mean? So for me, when I grew up, you know, playing basketball, I just found a place. All I needed was a rim. Yeah. You know, I was blessed enough to have a court in my backyard. You know, that helped, but obviously it's different than shooting inside. So a facility like this, full length, rims nice, it smells new. You know what I mean? It's just nice. It's just, you feel like you're at home when you're here.
Yeah, you know, and like you said, you feel at home when you're here. It kind of brings me back to being a kid growing up, and I had the public safety building. My godfather, being a police officer, he would let me into the public safety building, and up on the roof, they had a basketball court on that last floor. And it was crazy because you would literally see inmates do yoga. They'd come out with their yoga mat, and then I'd go in and play basketball. And so we had this little private thing. I, like you, I had a basketball. I had my driveway, and I had the basketball hoop there, and then I had pastime. So, you know, I mean, like you said, all you need is a rim. All you need is an opportunity to get out there, rain or shine. But this is the 365 days of the year, climate-controlled, just beautiful, pristine. It's a lot of work that Jim Dispenza put into this.
Yeah, he put a lot of work. I mean, it's high tech. You know what I mean? You have the not the gun, but you have a shooting machine, which for people who want to actually, you know, get better, get shots up. So you have everything. There's not much that is missing. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult when it comes to like having a lot of fans here. But I think this is more, you know, so like a practice facility. You mix in the different leagues and stuff like that. Yeah. It's definitely a blessing for a lot of kids growing up. Again, if I was, you know, 9 and 10 again, you know, this is a place where I want my dad to drop me off. You know, how can I get in this league and shoot here? Just because the courts are nice, it's not like it's slippery. Like you said, you got air control. You know, so the AC is on. You know, it's not extra hot. You know, you're not gonna have the problems with the floor being humid. You know what I mean? So I think it's a blessing. You know, and I'm glad that Jim was able to do that for us. And just so happened that I live 5 minutes away. So even more blessing for me.
Yeah, you know, and we call this segment on Wake Up Call Game Point Sports Complex, Who's Got Next? And what you're doing here, I think, is perfect for the inaugural episode of Who's Got Next, because you're paying it forward. The first time I saw you here, you were in one of the gyms doing one-on-one training. So what does Who's Got Next mean to you with the personal training that you're doing here at Game Point?
Yeah, I mean, it's me giving it back, but when I think of work and job, I always want to do something that it doesn't feel like a job. You know, when I was playing basketball professionally, making money, although I was making money and I guess it's considered a job, it didn't feel like it because I was doing something I love. Yeah. And when it comes to training, it's something I love doing, you know what I mean? When a kid works really hard and I see the passion that they have, you know what I mean? It just brings me to when I was young, you know what I mean? I wasn't a kid you had to say, hey, run faster, run harder. You know, I wasn't that kid, you know what I mean? So when I meet those kids, it's just like, I'm just helping, you know what I mean? It just so happened I am getting paid to do it. But, you know, for me, it's about having fun, you know what I mean? Enjoying what you're doing. And also the effect I have on kids, it just makes it a lot easier to do my job.
Yeah, you know, like you said, you have an effect. I mean, you and I, before we sat down to do this segment, Who's Got Next at Game Point, you know, we were, like, I was just out shooting, doing layups and whatnot, and you immediately went right into it, like, hey, flick your wrist, hey, think about it like this, and then showing me, like, if you utilize this motion, and then once you get it down and once you kind of know when to release, and here you're making 1, 2, 3 in a row, now let's move to another spot. Like, you just flow right into the teaching.
Yeah, man, and that's how I knew I was good at it. You know what I mean? I kind of always, I was like the trainer of my friend group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even in 8th grade, you know, even for all the camps that my dad would take me to, once I got, you know, too good for the camp, now like those camps were letting me be the coach. So this is like 9th grade and 10th grade. Technically, I'm coaching kids that's my age.
Yeah.
But for me, I would go to these All-American camps and these invite-only camps. And what I would do is I would take back those exercises that we would do as a group or individually and say, okay, this is what we're doing. Hey, like this is different. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm the one running the drills for my friend group. So I kind of always was around teaching. It was just, for me, and personally, that's why I felt like I never really needed a trainer, because I had a trainer's mindset, you know what I mean? But for me, I kind of like, sometimes you want to learn something different. Sometimes you don't want to be the guy coming up with the drills and stuff like that. So, yeah, man. Again, the teaching comes, like I said, it's a flow. Yeah. And I'm kind of creative, so I kind of use my mind when it comes to making workouts and making it different for kids. And so far, man, you know, at least 20 of the kids was like, you know, they got better. And I think that's what means the most.
So if someone wants to come to Game Point Sports Complex and work with you, how do they go about doing that?
Well, I mean, I guess the easiest part, it depends on who's here. So if Jim is here, he do, you know, I tell him like, all right, just give me, either they can either email me, and that's bstriche 20@gmail.com, right, through the email, or if they have social media on Instagram. So a lot of the inquiries come through Instagram, and that's BTA or BT Athletics 315. So you'll be able to find me on there, or just put Brandon Triche. Most likely my name will pop up, Instagram will pop up. So yeah, I mean, obviously from there, once I realize somebody's serious, then I give them my number, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, so make sure that you either email or reach out on social media to Brandon Triche, someone that I have appreciated, respected. I still go back to the days when I walk to the locker room after a game and you're just up there at your locker. And you could see that after a game cerebral, you were like playing things back behind your eyes. I felt like I could always see that in you. You weren't just sitting there like, okay, the game's over, I'm gonna get some food, this is what I'm gonna do when I leave. It was like you were in your own bubble, in your own space after a game. Is that fair to say?
No, very fair. You know, just growing up more of a quiet kid. I wouldn't necessarily say shy, but more quiet. You know what I mean? If I'm choosing to be loud or quiet, I'm definitely gonna be quiet. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be the guy that, even if I'm there, you know, people might think, you know, okay, I know this kid, but for me, you know, I might not make a noise in the room. You know what I mean? So because I grew up quiet, I'm more of a thinker. So again, so it's a great observation, because I definitely used to utilize that even overseas. So I would play the game over in my head, think about the shots I missed, the shots that I should have made, and literally because at that time I'm not having like the video. You know what I mean? This is like 10 years ago, almost 12 years ago. So I would just go over the tape in my brain. Okay, I missed this pull-up jump shot. I missed this floater. So now I get to that spot, make 5 in a row, make 5 in a row. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, that's me watching film without the technology.
Yeah, you know, you could definitely tell that with you. And for those of you that need to know Brandon Triche, you should know this, but if I have to tell you, the most career victories at Syracuse within the span of time that he was there. And we figured out mathematically that you lost in 5 years playing varsity. You lost 9 games in 5 years.
Yep. So I lost from 2005 to 2009, because I actually played 3 games my 8th grade year. Yeah. So we lost going into the championship. We actually lost in the championship to Mexico. That was the first game I lost. Freshman year, lost twice. Sophomore year, I got injured, lost once. Junior year, lost twice. Senior year, I believe either lost 2 times or 3 times. And then I only lost 25 games in my 4 years at Syracuse. So
yeah. So lost 34 times in the span of 9 years.
Yeah.
Insane.
A
So
whole lot of winning.
that's right. A whole lot of winning. We wish you had more eligibility right now. So make sure you get in touch with Brandon Triche, get trained by him. To have the opportunity to have one-on-one training or small group training with one of the greatest people that I have met in the sports world beyond basketball, and one of the most successful basketball players to come out of Central New York, you know where to be, Game Point Sports Complex. And who's got next? You with that guy. Thanks, Trish. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people, that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and then those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us, and of course, it is a Monday, which means that Murph is joining us here picture in picture to start off the week. We got a lot of stuff to discuss. Major League Baseball Wild Card race, college football's Wk4 with an historic win for Syracuse, and we'll also get into NFL Wk3 and Sports Card Show and Tell, proudly presented by the wonderful team at GG Cards and Breaks. But before we go there, I want to let y'all know, look at that hat right there, Game Point. I've already been there a bunch of times shooting. You have seen me with my half-court shot in Game Point Sports Complex. You've seen me with my jumper to make the announcement, and now you've seen the fadeaway kickout from Trish and I. So, Murph, you just saw the segment with the rest of the world. What do you think of who's got next?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think that's a cool segment because it gives you some on court interaction with the guys that you're talking to, and reminds me a lot of what we did my senior year at Marywood with the Murph versus the Pacers. So it's definitely a cool segment to do while you're doing that. You should almost actually incorporate the stuff on court during literally during the interview, like have parts of the interview where you're on the court talking about whatever and shooting some shots and stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was
That'd
definitely
be pretty cool too.
Yeah, and I appreciate that thought. I mean, I wanted to have B-roll of some sort of us being out there, and so while we're talking here, and you all just got to see it around Central and Upstate New York, and the East Coast, and the Midwest, and the West Coast, and the world, and having that opportunity to do those things on the court, and then be sitting and having the conversation together, and then intertwine them together to showcase that. And I think honestly my favorite part is the slow motion handshake. I like that. To me, that
that was cool.
That was my favorite thing. And one of my favorite songs is called Seeing Green from Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Drake. And so when we promoted it on Instagram for that slow motion handshake, I used just the instrumental part of Seeing Green. So I want to thank Triche, because Triche is awesome. And, this being the inaugural segment, my vision and my thoughts for it, working with Jim Dispenza and Game Point Sports Complex, we had set up a plan. And then, Jim has obviously trusted me, as every business does that works with me, to implement that plan. And so I was kind of thinking about, what do I want this to look like? What do I want this to be? And I just reached out to Brandon, and I said, I'd love for you to be my first guest, my inaugural guest on this. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And we met at the gym. And if you told me as a kid that I was going to be shooting around with a former Syracuse basketball player, the winningest Syracuse basketball player within their time at Syracuse, like if you told me that Trish and I were just going to be literally shooting shots in the gym together, like he's going to be passing me the ball, I'm going to be passing him the ball, we're going to be talking while we're dribbling and shooting, and then he was going to take the camera and he was going to film me. I mean, it was just, honestly, it was like two kids just having fun in the gym. And that's the part that I can't thank God enough for. And I told Brandon that afterwards. It was like, our friendship just means the world to me. And he's been awesome with me for so many years. And at Murph, I don't interview people, I build relationships. The interview is just a part of it. And, honestly, the thought that I get to do that again, but just doing it once, like being in the gym, just him and I shooting around. It's like the kid in me would be like, what? I get to play with a Syracuse basketball player, and he's going to pass me the ball and I get to shake his hand. I mean, I appreciate those things. And my former producer, Nick Cicero, he said that to me many years ago. He said, we were at Miami Dolphins training camp in Davie, Florida. And he said, he was like, you're different than the other people here. He said, I'm listening to guys, these people say, can't wait to leave, don't want to be here, want to go get lunch, da-da-da-da. He said, every time you step up and you talk to a player, you look like a little kid. You got a big smile on your face. You look so happy to be there. They're interacting with you. He said, there will come a day that you will walk into in a locker room. Or no, he said, there will come a day that there will be a player in a locker room, and there's going to be a ton of people around that player. And they're going to be sitting there waiting for the player to get ready to do an interview. And all the media is going to be sitting there waiting, staring at this player. And he's going to say, or she's going to say, I'm not doing interviews today. And they're going to be sitting there waiting like, what the heck? And then that person's going to get up, walk out of the locker room, look for you in the hallway and say, hey, Dan, you want to do our one-on-one? How you been? And, he said that to me over a decade ago. And relationships mean everything to me. And literally, like that time with Trish, this isn't a Syracuse thing. This isn't a he has to do it. This isn't an NCAA or ACC. you have to be in the locker room after the game and da 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 da. Like, this is literally a grown man making a decision with another grown man to spend some time together. So beyond everything else, this segment is just a testament to relationships are so much more important than the story. And honestly, Murph, I know it's a long-winded thought, but I will never grow out of being grateful that I get to hang out with people that I was watching and just in awe of, and now I get to just shake hands and shoot baskets with them. That's nuts to me, and I love it.
It's cool. Yeah, it's it definitely takes what I did to a different level, and because you're getting to do it with players from the area that played at Syracuse that are coming through high school in the area that, and however you're going to end up doing that going forward, that, it's something that nobody else is really doing. So it kind of makes you, stand apart as you already do. And, I'm sure you enjoy that. I know how much you love basketball, being able to go and play. So I think that'll be a really cool and fun segment for you to do in addition to, what the viewers will see.
Yeah. And there may be some other sports that people might be teaching me in there. So we're going to have some fun. With that too. I might finally get myself
Do I need to come up and teach you how to play golf? Is that it?
No. Well, you don't need to teach me how to putt. I'll tell you that. But I will say
that is for sure.
But
you definitely made some putts. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to learn some things that are pretty interesting potentially here. A sport that I know that people are highly involved in, and Jim Dispenza cares a lot about. So I might have to do a little teach me how to pickleball. So we'll see what's going.
Oh,
yeah.
You never played?
I have never played. No, I've had people ask me. I just haven't gotten out there yet.
Pickleball is so much fun. My Uncle George taught me how to play. I mean, I've only played like once, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. And then the volleyball world. I've covered volleyball. I actually utilized MU courtside to broadcast volleyball when I was at Marywood University, where I had to learn all the different things that I did not know about volleyball and some of the terminology and aces and kills and whatnot. And we just honored in our high school player of the week in Central New York, that's proudly brought to you exclusively from Myers Creek with their 2 locations in Cazenovia and Syracuse Inner Harbor. I just honored a volleyball player who went into that honor leading her team in aces, and I think she had 17 at the time. So Grace Schmid of CNS North Stars Girls Volleyball, and they were undefeated when I honored her, and then they won again. So they continue to be undefeated in Central New York, and we have some really good volleyball here in Central New York. Last year, the Liverpool boys volleyball team, incredible. This year, CNS girls doing very well. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And that volleyball is something that you can get into, and Jim specifically puts together the pieces that you need to be able to just seamlessly transition from basketball into volleyball at Game Point Sports Complex. So it is a multi-purpose facility, like you hear Jim say every broadcast in our message from Game Point Sports Complex, and it's meant to be multiple things going on at the same time, multi-purpose facility. And, we've already seen floor hockey, basketball, pickleball, volleyball, cheerleading. So make sure you get in touch with them today. You can go to gamepointsports-syr.com/courts, and that will give you the opportunity to apply to book time there for you individually or your team or whatever it may be. Make sure you book time. You can't just walk in, right? This is for the community, but is not a community center. So you have to make sure that you request your time and get everything set up with that. So with that being said, Murph and I got a lot to talk about. Thank you to Jim Dispenza. Thank you to Brandon Triche for bringing that inaugural episode to life and bringing this segment to life with me. Brandon, I love you. And Jim Dispenza and I mean, we are literally in the first few weeks of working together, and it feels like we've worked together for months. So, Jim, thank you for involving me in everything you have. Thank you for truly having this vision, for caring, and for stepping outside of your comfort zone to create something so special. So, look forward to building that bond, and send you all my love, and send the Dispenza family plenty of love and support and appreciation. Thank you, Jim, and thank you to your family in general. So, with that being stated, I have some bad news for Syracuse fans this morning that just came in to my phone. And it was coming in while we were playing the segment. Not only is Steve Angeli, the starting quarterback, going to be out, but Syracuse just got fined from the Atlantic Coast Conference for something that people have been doing, that Syracuse has been on the other side of, when, I'm not going to say the team, but they seem to fall down a lot toward the end of the game, and especially as you got closer to their end zone. Well, Syracuse has been officially fined, and this is something that's going to be heard around the country. This could be a statement by the ACC and a statement by NCAA football, and really FBS in general, that this needs to stop. Syracuse could be the sacrificial lamb in the grand scope of the national approach to this, saying now that this is a real thing and you're seeing these fines come through, that Syracuse is one of potentially many that may be dealing with this fine now. Or this just may be a very harsh warning to let people know. And so Kevin not liking this, and I understand it, Kevin. Here's the official message from the ACC sent to us. This is our press release received from the Atlantic Coast Conference, titled ACC Issues Institutional Fine and Public Reprimand to Syracuse. Coming out of their office in Charlotte, North Carolina, here is the official word. The Atlantic Coast Conference is issuing an institutional fine of $25,000 and a public reprimand to Syracuse University for actions by its football team during its game at Clemson on September 20th. With 9 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, Syracuse violated NCAA football Rule 3.3.6b, which addresses the feigning of injuries by players, declaring it, quote, unethical and contrary to the spirit of the rules, end quote. The actions by the two players, especially with the concurrent action by the coach in the team area, were a clear attempt to gain an unmerited advantage by stopping the game in order to secure an injury timeout. In addition to review by the league office, the play was also reviewed by the National Coordinator of Football Officials. He also agreed that the action violated the spirit of the injury timeout and fair play, and was done in a way to circumvent the new injury timeout rule to avoid the team being charged a timeout. The funds from the imposed institutional fine, which are the maximum allowed by the league's bylaws, will be placed into the Weaver James Corrigan Swafford Postgraduate Scholarship account. The ACC considers this matter closed. We've seen the feigning of injuries, Murph, but now we're seeing Syracuse with a $25,000 fine and a public reprimand. Your thoughts?
That's kind of, I don't really know how to put it into words, but it's a weird situation. We've seen guys faking injuries all the time to save a timeout inside of 2 minutes, and even in the NFL, and it'll happen sometimes, but you never really see teams getting punished for it until now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the big thing that you can say is they won the game.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
they did the important thing.
Right. And the thing that I find interesting is Syracuse being put out here, again, like I said, the sacrificial lamb in this case, because I've covered sports for 21 years, and I can't pinpoint a time where I can honestly tell you that I saw someone get fined for this. We've seen it get done. We've seen it happen. Syracuse versus Tennessee. There was booing on both sides for the thought that both teams were doing it in the first game of the season at the Aflac kickoff. There was a game where Syracuse played an ACC opponent, and I said I wouldn't mention it, but I mean, I got to give context to this. So it was a few years ago, and Syracuse played Louisville, and I believe Louisville fell down on the ground like it was multiple times. Somewhere, my brain says it was 7 times that they fell on the ground, but there was no institutional fine to Louisville, if I remember that correctly. So, you know, looking at this, yes, it's wrong, and in a way it's cheating. I'm just confused by, like, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, hey, Syracuse is my hometown. They cheat, they should be fined. Because I'm an impartial broadcaster. It doesn't matter who I cheer for, it doesn't matter where I come from. What's wrong is wrong. So there have been moments where people have made comments to me this season, not even in this game, of like, you know, that looked a little shady. It looked like Syracuse was doing this, it looked like Syracuse was doing that. And so I'm not going to say that I'm okay with any of it. But you should be fining everybody that's doing it. And and this needs
they have to start now. They
Right.
set a dangerous precedent here.
Right, because like now the ACC, there's no way in heck that the ACC can sit here and say that of their 17 member institutions, only Syracuse has been feigning injuries. Because like I said, years ago, Louisville, we just all cramped up at the same time on the same drive, in the same game, in the same place. I mean, and it's like, oh, you know, we're playing in the dome and it's hot in here and my calves are hurt. And it's like, bro.
Stop.
You know, and the thing is, they'd fall on the ground, they'd touch their leg, they'd rub their calf. 2 minutes later, they're up. Then they're back on. And I think in that game, it was like the guy's on the ground and now all of a sudden he's coming in and making a sack or almost making a sack. And I'm like, wait, bro, I thought your calf hurt. And so, I mean, I guess what football is doing now is that football is now mirroring football, which is what the rest of the world calls soccer. Because that soccer world of the guy looks around and the ball's on the other side of the field and he falls down and he's like, oh my gosh, my ankle, it's broken. I can't breathe. You can't breathe because your ankle's broken. That makes no sense. And then you go over to him and he's like, oh my gosh, look at my ankle. I think it's going to break off. I think I'm going to die. I got to get put on a stretcher. There was a soccer game that I saw where a guy was taken off the field on a stretcher and ran back onto the field full speed 2 minutes later. So soccer does this all the time.
They are the king of the flop.
Yeah, so soccer and LeBron James, honey.
Sorry. That's offensive to kings.
Yeah.
They are the queens of the flop.
But LeBron, like, sweetheart, you are 278 pounds of muscle. Stop acting like Neo in the Matrix when you get tapped by a guy who's 5'7". So, I mean,
dude, literally, there was a stat. I think
Kevin Pillar from the Mets got hit in the face and broke his nose, and he was standing on his feet again within 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Literally a couple days earlier, LeBron got poked in the eye and was on the ground for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Now LeBron,
And a guy that got hit in the face with a 96-mile-per-hour fastball and broke his nose, was gushing blood, was back on his feet in less than 20 seconds.
you know, and not only that, but you know, Shaquille O'Neal, God bless him, that man used to flop too. And Shaquille O'Neal is 300 pounds on a light day. And I mean, that guy would fall on the ground and you're like, bro, who hit you? And if they hit you, like if Shaquille O'Neal was hit by Muggsy Bogues, Muggsy would bounce off and go into like another city. So, I mean, I don't know why any of that happens. But listen, we've seen the flop. We've seen it happen. But college football, don't act like this is new. This is not new. This has been happening for years. Like that Louisville game against Syracuse, that was years ago. Kevin's very mad about this. So Kevin says, early in the season, players cramp. They also allow teams way too much time to get players on and off the field and stop their offensive momentum. That was huge at BC last year. Klubnik started this in the postgame. Yeah, Klubnik, they had said that in the postgame he had made comments. And Kevin said, can you say Montreal Canadiens? So he's making a mention of another situation. But yeah, I mean, again, when I see Syracuse getting a reprimand in the only game that they've ever won at Death Valley, I'm thinking, yes, if you go back and look at the tape and it's blatant, then Syracuse is wrong and should be fine. I'm also thinking this is Clemson, the darling of the ACC, perfect timing to place a fine, which is the biggest fine that you can place after a team loses that wasn't supposed to. So, I mean, Clemson, North Carolina, Duke, South Carolina used to be in the ACC. But when you look at those schools in the Carolinas, I feel like if North Carolina loses to Boston College and there's a questionable play, there's a higher probability that Boston College will be fined in that game than if they play Pittsburgh, right? So it just there's the reality that if you're doing this, then yes, you should be fined, and if you break the rules, you should be fined. But the rules apply to everybody. So ACC, all I'm saying to you is you better watch these games closely. Because if you think that of your 17 schools, no one's going to be bouncing around in this neighborhood for this upcoming week, and no one's going to be, oh my God, I got hit in the eye. And then 2 seconds later, they're touching the right eye instead of the left eye, and they're going, my eye, I'm blind. And they're like, wasn't it the left eye? And he's like, I don't know. I'm so scared. So, like, I mean, it's laughable that people say you go back and look at film and a guy will grab his leg and at the same time another guy's grabbing his leg because they didn't work with each other to know which one was going to do it. So they both grab their leg and they both fall to the ground, but it was only supposed to be that one guy on this play and then you're supposed to fall 2 plays later. So yes, if there's theatrics on the field, it's a joke. It's embarrassing. And I have been on site at games in the Dome in that Louisville game where it got to a point where it was degrading to the game, and it was I wasn't doing it, and I felt the humiliation. Like, I was watching these big giant men that have been playing tough the whole game just fall on the ground and appear to be injured, sit there for a couple minutes so the trainer can come see them, go off the field, and then run right back on and keep playing football. And they seem to be falling the closer that another team got to the end zone. So, I mean, yes, if you go back and you look at the tape, and listen, the ACC didn't just look at it. The NCAA's official overseer of when we look at officiating, the overseer of it all said, no, this is wrong. They declared an exact time in the game. So, I tape every game. I can go back and look at that exact time, which was 9:25 remaining. Y'all can go back and look at it too. But they went to a specific rule, a specific time in the game, and they went to the national coordinator of football officials beyond them to take a look at this, who also said, hey, this is wrong. So, Syracuse, pay the fine, take the public reprimand, and don't do it again. And ACC, make sure that you're doing this to everybody that breaks this rule. And beyond that, now the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, whatever the pack is, as well as the Mountain West, Conference USA, Sun Belt, the American, the MAC, y'all better be handling this the same exact way, because if you think that Syracuse is the only one of 130 plus teams doing it, you're wrong. So yes, Syracuse, you got to pay the fine. You got to deal with the consequences. But the aside to that is, what is the rest of the country going to do? Because there's no way in hell that Syracuse is the only one doing it, because you and I have watched football games, Murph, in the last 5 years, and we know that, again, football is looking a lot like football, and the soccer world is coming into college football, and people seem to be getting injured a lot more frequently at very, very, very crucial times of games.
Yeah, it's been happening forever, and it shouldn't. But I look at it this way: if you're Syracuse, $25,000 fine is a small price to pay for beating Clemson at their place. So going in and winning in Death Valley for the first time, and seeing what everybody and I saw a lot of people talking about Fran Brown and the respect that he's earned and he commands from his players, and I think it speaks a lot about him. I think it speaks a lot about the culture that he's developing there. So did it happen? I guess yes, because they got fined for it, and they did give an exact moment in the game. And obviously, if you go back and look at the tape, you might see it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a small price to pay for putting the beat down on Clemson. Did they sneak into the rankings this week, or was I just imagining that?
No, Syracuse did not receive a single vote from the media for the Associated Press. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Wow.
I'm not surprised. So so I posted these yesterday for people to give their thoughts. So in the AP Top 25, which you and I will address after the break, Syracuse, I just want to double check and make sure.
They got 4 votes in the coaches poll.
So they got 0 votes in the AP and did receive 4 votes in the coaches poll. So yeah, they got little to no love. And honestly, I believe this is the Jordan Travis factor, where Syracuse beats Clemson, but their quarterback goes down. So now the media and the coaches are punishing Syracuse. This is my opinion. This is not something that I heard. It's
when in the game did he get hurt?
Third quarter.
Okay, were they already up?
Yeah, they were up.
Decently
They
big
were
at
up
that
the
point?
entire game. They didn't trail. So
Okay.
Syracuse. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. I mean, this team won their game, right? They won their game. They did what they were supposed to do. But I feel like there's a punishment that comes from the fact that Syracuse. I just feel like the whole, like, when your quarterback goes down, because we already saw that. And that's what we're seeing, I think, with this, is that they're not getting...
I mean, you got to see how Ricky plays.
Right.
I mean, if Ricky goes out and plays well, who do they play next week?
But you look at, they play Duke. Syracuse, they're
They can win that game.
They're 3-1.
Easily.
They won at Clemson. They've never won at Clemson. There's a bunch of teams in the top 25 that have done absolutely, that they've beaten everyone that they've supposed to beat. They're playing FCS opponents. They're playing unranked opponents. Syracuse has had a tough schedule. They've already played 2 tough games away from home. So the fact that we're even sitting in this world of they're not in the top 25 and the AP didn't give them a single vote, that to me is just stupid and it's idiotic. But if you pay attention to Syracuse and you look at Syracuse's history, I think the last time they were in the polls, they had to win like 9 games for them to go, all right, we'll make you 24. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous what they have to do to get in, as opposed to what the Darlings have to do nothing of to be in and stay in and continue to be in. I mean, for goodness sakes, look at Illinois. They were 9th for no reason. They beat 3 unranked teams. They dropped 14 spots, but they're still in the top 25. And then there's a team like Auburn that I would rather see in the top 25 for playing a close game against Oklahoma. But, here we are again where it's Big Ten versus the SEC. And I will fight with people like this forever. How does the SEC get less respect than the Big Ten? That's wild to me.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
But Murph and I.
But
Go ahead.
I'm looking though at. Sorry, I'm just saying I'm looking at Syracuse's schedule the rest of the year, and just looking at this, like, Duke's a team they should beat. SMU on the road will be a tough game, but they can probably beat them.
It's gonna be a tough game.
Syracuse Pitt's a rival. Pitt is a rivalry game, so like
they hate each other.
I think they can beat Pitt. They can't stand each other, but I think being at home they can win that game. Georgia Tech's their next ranked opponent, and I think that's a team that Syracuse can beat. I know that nobody's expecting that now. I mean, there's no line out for the game yet, but. Just looking at Georgia Tech and who they've played compared to who Syracuse has played and what they've done, they have a common opponent. They've both played Clemson.
And beat them.
And Georgia Tech beat them by 3 at home.
Yeah.
Syracuse beat them by 2 scores on the road.
Right.
To me, that's a significantly better win than what Georgia Tech had. And, Georgia Tech beat Colorado in week 1. Deion Sanders factor, whatever.
Yeah.
They beat the brakes off Gardner-Webb. We knew that was obvious. That's obvious. They beat Clemson by 3 at home, and they beat Temple by 3 scores. They play Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Duke, and then Syracuse. They don't play anybody until they play Georgia, other than Syracuse, to me. If they lose the Syracuse game, they'll go into the Georgia game with 1 loss, and Georgia would probably blow them out. But that's just kind of what I see. But I'm looking at this schedule for Syracuse.
Yeah.
I could easily see them winning 9 to 10 games. And obviously it's going to depend on how Ricky Collins Jr. plays. Obviously he lost the starting job to Steve Angeli, and he's more of a running quarterback than he is a throwing quarterback. So the offense might have to change a little bit. Maybe incorporate a little bit more RPO into the play calling, but it's not like you're really going to get up against a tough team until you get to Georgia Tech. And who knows, Georgia Tech could easily falter in the next few weeks, and all of a sudden they're unranked, and you're going to Georgia Tech, and maybe you beat them by 2 scores. Who knows? UNC's obviously going to be tough because you got Bill Belichick on the sidelines, but they haven't exactly done anything spectacular so far. I mean, they just got blown out by UCF.
I picked UCF.
So their 2 losses are blowouts.
Yeah, I picked
Their 2
UCF
losses
to
are
win
absolute
that game.
blowouts.
Yeah. I believe in UCF, and I believe in Scott Frost in the second coming. So,
I mean, the one game on here I look at I'm just going to chalk it up as an L right now is Miami, but they have beaten Miami. They did it last year. Mm-hmm. So, who knows? Also, Miami got leapfrog Penn State to go to number 2 now, so I'm sure you're happy about that.
Well, I mean, anybody to leapfrog a team that plays no one in the beginning of the season would be great.
And the fact that they didn't play this week, Penn State.
Yeah, and normally they would move up.
They literally didn't play.
Yeah, they would move up in weeks that they don't play. So, I mean, it's very.
I mean,
and again, I cannot echo this enough. Check the tape and all of the good things that I've said about Penn State. I am not saying anything about the coaches, the players, the results of what they do on the field. I am talking about the rankings, which players don't do and coaches do, but I mean, Franklin, whatever. I mean, the reality is it is not Penn State's fault where they're ranked, and I'm calling out the ranking, not the team, not the caliber.
Well,
we're
gonna see Saturday night.
Talking about the ranking.
It's the whiteout.
Right. I'm not saying they're not a good. Like I've said it repeatedly. That they're a good team, but they're not better.
Back up to number 2.
Right? There's no reason for them to be number 5 right now. There's no reason other than the fact that they want to make this Oregon game seem bigger than it is, which is what they do every year. They have to do this. They have to make Ohio State.
Said they're going there yet?
Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, they all have to be in the top 5 so that they can pretend that it's a top 5 game. What'd you say?
Have they confirmed that game day is going to Penn State?
I can check. I'm actually looking. I can check in the break because right now I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
I wanted to physically see this for myself because I watched the Syracuse game, but they went to a long extended. See, that's the thing too, is the guy fell down, but like on the television itself, they went to a long extended break and they did not come back to show the injury or anything like that. It looks a little weird how the guy falls down. And yeah, Kevin,
it's probably the non-interrupted one that they're showing there, but
it's
yeah.
Like I went back to the game and was watching like the run of the game and looking in real time at, like watching through the game itself, not a clip that somebody took out. He falls down on the ground and then, he seems to be down for a little bit, and then they go to commercial, and they went through a long extended commercial and came back. It looks a little suspect. It looks a little strange, but the way that it's described is that, like, he was down on the ground, and then Fran's out there, and then and they said 2 guys were down, but when you watch the the film of it zooms in on one guy. So it's kind of hard to see exactly what the ACC is talking about from the way that they actually had the game itself telecast on ESPN, because I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, the way that guy went down looks a little strange and looks a little suspect, but the description of it, I was expecting to go back and see more, see them come back. The guy's still down, Fran's still on the field. So, I mean, again, you break the rules, you got to pay the fine. That's how it is. You have rules for a reason. I just hope that the ACC, in the grand scheme of things, and the rest of college football, is going to be reprimanding. Because if nobody gets reprimanded for the feigning of injuries in college football week 5, then Syracuse fans are going to be like going absolutely outrageously nuts, and rightly so. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, Murph and I will take a look at the Major League Baseball wild card race. Then we'll get into college football, and we'll come right back into the rankings and our thoughts on the rankings and what's going on. Murph's Mets and my Diamondbacks are fighting for the last spot to get into the postseason. And the Diamondbacks are so close, but why can't we have both the Mets and the Diamondbacks? We'll take a step aside for a
It's not gonna happen.
Hey, Matt, the Mad
it's gonna be one or the other.
It's not.
Or neither.
Yeah.
It could be neither.
Or neither if the Cincinnati Reds do their thing. So we shall see. The Diamondbacks have the toughest road to get there of all of the 4 teams in the race, that being the Giants, the Cubs, or pardon me, not the Cubs, the Giants, the Reds, as well as the Mets and the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks with 3 series against 3 teams that are going to the playoffs, and the best that any of those other 3 teams have in the hunt are playing 2 series against playoff teams. Some are playing a lot easier of a schedule, so we shall see what happens here. And Philip is upset too, said the crybaby quarterback is why Syracuse got fined. Speaking of the Clemson comments made after the game. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. Syracuse fans, get in the comments. Y'all are angry. I want to hear from you. I do want to hit this one before we go to the break because I can't help but see that somebody just wrote in. So Dave said the Clemson Tigers and their university are just a bunch of sore losers. Jerry said, what a bunch of horse manure. And then Brian had a long comment, said, oh boy, now we got the good old boys down south all upset because their little favorite son, Clemson, got their blanks hand kicked. So go ahead and throw some salt on it and think it'll make you feel better. The ACC isn't always will be about Tobacco Road in basketball, North Carolina, Duke, Wake, and NC State. Those that join afterwards are the redheaded stepchild and will never be treated fairly, and that is never more evident than in an ACC basketball game at any of those schools. The officiating is always against Syracuse. This is just my opinion. And you know what, Brian? You echoed my sentiments. And what did I say? They will always take care of the Carolinas before they take care of anybody else. That's my belief, and prove me wrong. Remember when Buddy Boeheim got suspended so that he couldn't play against Duke in the ACC tournament? That was an interesting time, and I was there in Brooklyn for that, and nothing about it felt right. Jerry said, your Snakes look like the 27 Yankees against the Phillies yesterday. Jerry, we're trying. Listen, y'all are already in the playoffs. Let us get a couple. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll be back right after this. DT and Murphy on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Major League Baseball wild card race. Where are we at? And there's still some shakeup in the standings. The American League, that's not settled either. We'll talk about everything right after this, where sports meets life.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily?
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Murphalation Station for the Nation is with us here this morning. DT and Murphy coming to you live on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We've already had a bunch of things happen this morning to start off the week. We unveiled the official new video series that will be every month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, entitled Who's Got Next, and the inaugural episode featuring Brandon Triche, all presented exclusively from Game Point Sports Complex, and we'll have unique interview settings at Game Point with wonderful guests, and Brandon Triche starting things off on an incredible note with Game Point Sports. Make sure you reserve your time, be it for volleyball, pickleball, basketball, floor hockey, cheerleading, and more. You want to have a birthday party there, you can do that as well. Go to GamePointSports-syr.com/courts to reserve your time today. Murph and I here to talk about the Major League Baseball Wild Card race before we get back into college football. We've already spoken about Syracuse's institutional fine of $25,000 and a public reprimand from the ACC for feigning injuries with 9:25 left to go in the game at Clemson. By the way, at that time, Syracuse was ahead by 20 points in the game. So they were up 34-14 at that time with under 10 minutes to play in the matchup. So just want to let everybody know that too. This wasn't a one possession, one score game. So they were up by 20 when this was going on. Murph and I will get back into college football in just a little bit, but not before we touch on the Major League Baseball wild card race. Let's let you know where things are at in the Major League Baseball wild card race. So at the time that we're talking here this morning, in the American League, the Blue Jays have wrapped up a playoff spot. They're the only team that is officially in the postseason in the American League with a record of 90-66. They currently lead the entire American League, followed by the Mariners and the Detroit Tigers. The Yankees have locked in, for now, they have locked in that first wild card spot, which will make them the 4 seed. They leapfrogged the Red Sox a little while back, and with the exact same record, the Guardians and the Astros are now tied for the final wild card spot, and the Rangers are 5 games out. So the Astros and the Mariners were fighting for the division, which they're still doing, in the AL West. But here's the thing. It was who's going to win the division, who's going to be the last wild card. Now it's whoever wins the division, that other team might be knocked out of the postseason. So we may not see the Mariners and the Astros if the Guardians continue to do good work. In the National League, we look at where teams are at, and the Milwaukee Brewers, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Los Angeles Dodgers have all punched their tickets to the postseason. So have the Cubs. There's only 2 spots that remain, both in the wild card, the 5th overall seed and the 6th seed. The Padres have been leading that 5 seed, and now the Cincinnati Reds and the New York Mets have the same record of 80-76 for the final wild card spot, with the Diamondbacks just 1 game out. So Murph, let's go to the American League first that I was addressing here. Your thoughts on the fact that the Astros and the Mariners have been fighting all throughout the season like they've done in recent time. The AL West has been Seattle, Houston, and Texas. Are 3 of them going to make it? Or 2 of them going to make it? And it's not who's going to be in the wild card. It's literally to the 11th hour who's going to win the division in these last few years coming down the stretch. So your thoughts on the Blue Jays, Mariners, and Tigers, and then in the wild card, Yankees and Red Sox look to be in good footing at the moment, but the Guardians and the Astros are right there with each other. And in all honesty, they're only a game away from the Red Sox. So the Red Sox aren't even safe either.
Yeah, I mean, it's that AL West battle is going to come down to the very last day, and I couldn't tell you the last time the Seattle Mariners won the AL West. I think it was 2001 when they won 116 games, which is still a major league record. But you have Houston, who's kind of been just the last couple of weeks. They just got swept by the Mariners. The Mariners are in the driver's seat to win the division. They were tied going into the weekend. They're now 3 games ahead. I believe their magic number to clinch the division is now 3. And that'll be interesting as they play they could clinch it by Thursday. They play the Rockies for 3 in Seattle. They could easily clinch it. But yeah, I mean, Cleveland's kind of come out of nowhere to take over that third wild card spot. They've won, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oh, prior to the other day, they'd won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They had won 10 in a row prior to Sunday, and they finally lost. So they play the Tigers and the Rangers to close out the year. The Guardians could still win the division, which is bizarre to think about considering where the Detroit Tigers were as of mid-season.
Yeah. They're only one game
The
up.
Guardians have also picked up in the last week and a half. The Guardians have picked up 9 games in the standings. 9. That is ridiculous to think about. This is a Tigers team that led the division by double digits, and they now only lead by 1. And they have to play the Guardians this week. Can you imagine if the Guardians come back and win that division and the Tigers miss the playoffs altogether? Because it could happen. It could absolutely happen. Because as of right now, Cleveland is tied with Houston for that final wild card spot. Texas and Kansas City are basically out of it at this point. So it's going to come down to Cleveland, Houston, Seattle, and Detroit for that last wild card spot. 2 of them will win their divisions respectively. The other 2 will battle for that final wild card spot. I honestly could see the AL Central flipping. If the Tigers miss the playoffs, is that a bigger disaster than if the Mets missed the playoffs, considering where both teams were at different stages of the year?
Yeah. Are you there? Are you frozen?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was asking you.
Oh, okay. Say it again. I apologize. Say it again. I thought you froze.
So if the Tigers blow their division lead and miss the playoffs altogether, is that a bigger collapse than what the Mets would be if they missed the playoffs?
Yeah, 100%.
Which at this point, it's entirely possible.
No, I mean, the Mets have been literally in the 6th spot, 6 of 6 in the National League for a while now. They have barely stayed above water of the Cincinnati Reds. Arizona's now gotten closer. Cincinnati's right there with them. The Giants aren't mathematically out of it yet. The Detroit Tigers have been the second best team in the American League, sometimes the best team in the American League. If the Detroit Tigers fall from grace, they had the best record in baseball. So I mean, if Detroit, who's had a pretty positive season all season, if they go from being one of the top 3 teams in the American League, leading their division, and at one point they were leading their division more than any other team of the 6 divisions. They were leading by double-digit wins, and there was nobody else that was leading by that much at the time. If Detroit goes from being leading for 11 games or more than 11 games and being at the top of their division pretty much all season and being one of the top 3 teams in the American League and being in the top 2 in the American League, and they fall out of the postseason completely, if the Tigers don't make the postseason, and you're asking me to parallel that with the Mets, if the Tigers don't make it, it's going team that could win the World Series to absolute oblivion. If the Mets don't make it, then the Mets fans will shrug their shoulders and say par for the course. So yeah, Tigers would definitely be a bigger collapse for sure.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I'm just looking at who they've played so far in the month of September. So they finished August by beating the Royals 2 out of 3. In September, they have These are their series. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets. They lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox. They beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. It's the only series they've won in the month of September. Then they lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. They get swept by the Guardians at home. They get swept by the Braves at home. And now they have to go to Cleveland for 3. And then they go to Boston for 3 to close out the year. There is a very real possibility that the Tigers not even just not winning the AL Central, that they completely miss the playoffs. That would be one of the most epic September collapses I have ever seen.
Yeah.
We all know, and go ahead, Jerry, bring it up. The Mets blew a 7.5 game lead with 17 to go in 2007. This would be worse than that. They were winning the division by double digits all year long. The calendar flips to September. Oh my goodness. Let's see. They've won 1, 2, 3. They lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They are 1, 2. They are 4-13 in the month of September.
Yeah.
4-13. Meanwhile, the Guardians in the month of September, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 and 1, 2, 3, 16 and 5. 4-13 versus 16. Wait, that math doesn't math. Whatever it is. That would be a historic collapse by the Tigers. All they had to do was go 500, and they will have already clinched the division. You go 500, you basically are clinched, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But there's a week to go. You go to Cleveland, who just swept you in your own place, and then you got to go to Fenway to close out the year. And Boston may not have anything to play for at that point. Boston's got they're pretty much locked into that second wild card spot, depending on what the Yankees do. They may not have anything to play for at that point, so they may not be playing all their best players. So maybe the Tigers can do something in that series. But at the same time, what if you get swept again? If you get swept by the Guardians again, and all of a sudden you're 2 games out, let's just say Boston, who has the Blue Jays this week, the Blue Jays have already clinched the division. Let's say Boston wins 2 out of 3. So Boston would be 87-72. You would be 85-74. So you're behind Boston. Let's just say the Astros take 2 out of 3 from the A's, which is entirely possible. It's entirely possible. They are now 86-74 with a half-game lead on the Detroit Tigers. You're in trouble if you're Detroit.
Yeah.
If you get swept this week, the divisional race is over. You are not winning the division if you get swept this week. Because the Guardians, all they have left are the Tigers and the Rangers. And the Rangers will have nothing to play for because they're out of the postseason.
Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, listen, it's gonna.
If you
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, if you ask me right now who my money is on to win the AL Central, and I'm very curious to see if there's any odds on it in the sports books. But if I had to pick somebody today to win the AL Central, it is the Cleveland Guardians. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely
plus 125.
Yeah, it's turning out.
I want to put some money on that.
It's turning out to be a very, very exciting end here when we thought the American League was maybe figured out, right? And it was just between Seattle and Houston to figure things out. Toronto has done a heck of a job. The Yankees were in the 6th spot for a while. Now they're the top wild card spot. The Red Sox, who people thought going in were going to be sellers, not buyers in the trade deadline, they end up continuing to be successful. They made some moves, and they are in the postseason hunt right now in this moment. And the Cleveland Guardians, the team that will not go away. And then that team that some people had some hope for, the Kansas City Royals, once again. And Papa Joe talks about that, and they're 6 games out right now, so they're playing from the outside. In the National League,
They gotta win out, and they need a whole lot of help.
Yeah. In the National League, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Dodgers have all locked it up. They know where they're at. The Brewers have been the best team in the National League. The Brewers currently hold the best record in baseball, 95 victories. And guess who beat them recently? The Arizona Diamondbacks. So, looking at what they've done here, the Diamondbacks have to run the gamut of playing the Phillies and the Dodgers, and the Arizona Diamondbacks will not have anything of any way, shape, or form that is easy in this road. Like I had let you know this past week, this is how it looks. The Mets they have a series against Washington, who's not a playoff team, the Cubs, who are a playoff team, and the Marlins, who are not a playoff team this year. The Giants have the Dodgers, who are a playoff team, and then St. Louis and Colorado, who are not playoff teams. And so that's not, they don't have as tough as a road.
The Giants are basically out of it too at this point.
Right. But but looking at
3 games back,
yeah,
they're essentially out of it.
Looking at what they had in the moment of having 3 series left and everybody being alive and putting it up on the screen, the graphic of that, and I saw it when I was at the Wildcat Sports Pub after I had already talked about it on the show. A day later, they put the graphic up of the 4 teams and showed what everybody had left of the Giants as well as the Mets and the Reds and the Diamondbacks, and it was clear that the Diamondbacks have the toughest road to get into the postseason, something that they dealt with 2 years ago when they made it to the World Series, and they had their last 15 games were really, really difficult. What the Diamondbacks have left on their schedule now to see how they've done so far in this gamut is playing the Phillies after playing the Giants in 2 series within a 3-series period. They played the Giants twice on the road and at home. On the road, they lost 1-2. At home, they won 2-1, and they just won the series over the Phillies, which was massive to keep them in the hunt, winning that series 2-1. Now they have to face the Dodgers at home. The Phillies were at home, and then they're on the road at San Diego to round out the regular season, and San Diego has already put themselves in good footing to be into the postseason here, and they've stayed above the Diamondbacks throughout the year. So looking at that, we know the Brewers are in, we know the Phillies are in, we know the Dodgers are in. The Cubs are in great place. They're almost 10 games up, and then the Padres are within 3 of them. And then after that, the Reds and the Mets are tied, like I said. The Diamondbacks are 1 game away. So the Diamondbacks have to keep winning, and the Mets and the Reds have to trip at some point. The Diamondbacks 79 and 77, the Mets and the Reds 80 and 76. It doesn't look like anyone's going to catch up with the Padres. If the Padres win another game or 2, they'll lock themselves in. The Cubs have already locked themselves in. So it really comes down to Reds, Mets, Diamondbacks, feet to the fire, who is going. The Giants are mathematically in it with 3 games behind, but if Arizona and the Reds and the Mets, whoever trips, that could be the fall for one of those teams. They all got to win. They all got to keep doing it because this is very too close to call, but the Diamondbacks have done an incredible job. They have been 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Mets are 4-6. The Mets were 2-8, which when we look back a little bit here to, I think this past Thursday, their last 10 at the time was 2-8. Before that, it was also 2-8. So the Mets falling down from grace of being first in the American League or National League East, and then dropping and coming out of first, going back to first, then falling out of first. Phillies taking over for the majority of the second half of this season after the All-Star break, and the Mets have not been on the winning side of things. More often than not, with that 2-8. Like I said, 2-8, 4-5 most recently, or 4-6 most recently here. The Reds are 6-4, so they've done some good things to keep it going and to put themselves in this place. They've been a game behind the Mets, and they've been literally right there. They finally found a way to tie the Mets, but the Diamondbacks will not go away. This is going to be who trips and who keeps winning. The challenge is on, and 3 teams all have a viable opportunity to lock in the final spot. Your thoughts, Murph?
Well, the Reds scare me. They've won 6 out of 7 since getting swept by the A's in Sacramento. And they play the Pirates and the Brewers. The Brewers have not locked up, but they have a chance to have locked up the top seed in the National League by that point. They've already locked in a first-round bye. So they're not really going to be playing for anything. And they're a playoff team, so those teams that aren't playing for anything are a lot scarier for the teams that are battling with the teams that have to play them.
Yeah.
So from a Mets perspective, they got to play the Cubs, who did just get swept in a 4-game series by those very same Reds at Wrigley this week. You got to win 4 out of 6. And even that might not be enough, because they have to finish ahead of the Reds, because the Reds hold the tiebreaker. We hold the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks, but the Reds hold the tiebreaker over us. So, I mean, but the Reds also play the Pirates this week. The Reds play the Pirates and the the Brewers. The Mets play the Cubs and the Marlins, and the Marlins love to play spoiler to the Mets. It happens every freaking year. And then the Diamondbacks have the Dodgers and the Padres.
Yeah.
The Dodgers and Padres are still fighting for the division. Now, granted, the Dodgers win 1, the Padres win or lose 1. All of a sudden, Padres lose 1 to the Brewers. All of a sudden, the Dodgers clinch the division, and now the Padres are basically locked into the second wildcard spot. Then they're not playing for anything at that point. But the Dodgers win would be over the Diamondbacks if they do that. So there's a lot of things that can happen here in the National League. The National League is a lot of chaos. We might see an 84-win team make the playoffs. 3 wins above being over 500. So they'd be 6 games over 500. We might see an 84-win team we might even see an 83-win team make the playoffs, depending on what happens with these teams, because none of them play each other this week. So anything can happen. But I'm looking at this closely, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't really like the Mets' chances.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cubs aren't playing for much either at this point. They're not locked into the top wildcard spot, but they're close. They're gonna still try to win that. I mean, who's pitching? Like tonight, oh boy. Chalk the Mets down for an L tonight. David Peterson versus Cade Horton.
Yeah.
Chalk the Mets down for an L. Tomorrow's Jonah Tong versus Matthew Boyd. Sorry, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday the Mets play this week. And that's because they don't play today.
Yeah.
Chalk them down for an L tomorrow. Jonah Tong versus Matthew Boyd on Wednesday. Brandon Sproat versus Shota Imanaga on Thursday. Oh boy. I don't like this one bit. And then we gotta face Sandy Alcantara on Friday.
Yeah.
If I had to pick right now, the Mets are missing the playoffs. Obviously, I don't want that to happen. But if you're asking me right now as an unbiased broadcaster,
yeah,
the Mets are going to miss the playoffs. I don't know which team will leapfrog them, but as of this moment, my prediction is that the Mets miss the playoffs, which would suck compared to where they were at the beginning of June.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't want to freaking hear it from Phillies fans because we still own you in the postseason.
Well, the Diamondbacks have owned them as well in recent history. So
Yes, they have.
taking a look at, like I said, this final place, this final spot, we're going to put the poll back up, let you vote. We did put the poll up here, and I believe we got the results of the poll. Yes, we did. So who will be the final wild card team? This was from last week, and it was Mets, Diamondbacks, Reds, or Giants. 7.1% of you voted for the Giants to be the final wild card team. 14.3% said Reds. 57.1% said Mets, more than half of you, and 21.4% said the Diamondbacks. So now the question is going to be posed once again, now that we're looking at probably a situation of still mathematically the Giants are there, but I'm going to put the poll back up and I'm going to let you vote again here this week between the Mets.
I think it's just between the three at this
point. The Mets,
point.
the Diamondbacks,
I think the Giants
and the
are basically
Cincinnati
out.
Reds. So
yeah,
they aren't mathematically, but I'm going to put the three up was my plan.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
the
putting.
Marlins aren't mathematically eliminated either, but they're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. So who will
They'd have to sweep and need a lot of help.
Yeah. So who will be the final Major League Baseball wild card spot in the National League here in the 2025 season? Your votes can be cast in just a moment as we're getting this thing set and ready to go. So go ahead and cast your votes. They are up there now. Feel free to vote on X, the former Twitter, at CallDT. That's CALLDT. Who will get the final Major League Baseball wild card spot in the National League here in the 2025 season? Will it be the New York Mets, the Arizona Diamondbacks, or the Cincinnati Reds? As of right now, the Reds and the Mets are tied for the final spot, and the Diamondbacks are one game away. The Giants are mathematically still in it. You voted in the poll last week. You were heavy on the Mets last week. Do you feel the same? You have an opportunity to vote, and I want to know who will be the final Major League Baseball wild card taker in the 2025 Major League Baseball season. The Mets, the Diamondbacks, or the Reds? We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and when we come back, what were you going to say, Murph? You got something?
No, I was going to ask if the Diamondbacks have the tiebreaker over the Reds, but I know they took one series 2 out of 3. They do. Okay, so the Diamondbacks would need to finish ahead of both because they do not hold the tiebreaker with either one.
Yeah, and that was an issue last season with the Diamondbacks, as close as they were, was not having the tiebreaker over the Mets head-to-head, which was something that had to come into effect, unfortunately, because of where they stood. So the voting is open. Feel free to vote. Let us know what your thoughts are. And the early voting for the New York Mets once again. We'll take a step aside for a fast break inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we come back, it's college football talk coming off of Week 4 and heading into Week 5. And we have to address the very sad former four-leaf clover, which is now the elephant in the room for the Syracuse Orange. I almost said the Jaguars. For the Syracuse Orange, we'll address it right after this fast break. By the way, Jaguars won their last 2 games and won 2 of their 3 games. How about? And an ugly game against Houston, who's now 0-3.
Must be nice.
0-3 Houston. So, So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with college football and NFL talk here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You know what to do, but I'll tell you anyways. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant is different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot, Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, KAMP, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Happy to be here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Murph and I are here with you on a Monday, bringing you into the week as we always do with DT and Murphy, the segment here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And we are shifting from one field to the next as we go from the baseball world into the football world, college football. We talked about it a little bit. We're going to get into the rankings in a moment, and I have the opportunity to speak with Fran Brown coming up here in just a little while at the press conference. So looking forward to doing that as always every single week, and we'll definitely let you know what he had to say, and I'll be putting my video up of that today right after it happens. So thank you for everybody that follows and supports Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I truly appreciate you, and thank you for that. I do want to read, with Steve Angeli going out and just the sadness of this happening and the fact that he was leading the nation in passing yards. That means that Jeff Nixon, who had a lot of experience in the NFL before coming to Syracuse to be on Fran's staff last year, Jeff Nixon has now led an offense that had the national leader in passing yards 2 years in a row. Kyle McCord was the leader at the end of the regular season last season, above Garrett Nussmeier, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, and on and on and on, DJ Lagway, and on and on and on and on and on. This year, through 3 games, Steve Angeli had over 1,000 yards. He came into the game against Clemson's Cade Klubnik with over 400 yards more than Cade Klubnik of Clemson. Cade Klubnik had 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Angeli had 8 to 2. Cade Klubnik was under 60% completion percentage. Steve Angeli was 64.1. So he came in as the better quarterback. He went out as the better quarterback. And he was one of only 3 quarterbacks in the nation of 130-plus FBS teams that had over 1,000 yards passing in the first 3 weeks of football with 1,072. So I want to give him his flowers and show him his love because he's earned the respect,
He deserves it.
whether you give it or not. Now this is overall the message that I had about Steve Angeli with some thoughts about his future. Steve Angeli came into his 4th game as a member of the Syracuse Orange at Clemson, leading the nation in passing yards. And though it's sad to not see him on the field, there is the silver lining that he can apply for a medical red shirt, meaning he'd have 2 more years to play college football. 2025 is technically his 3rd year of eligibility because he redshirted in 2022 and saw action in 2023 and 2024. While a member of the Fighting Irish. If you play in 4 games or less in a season and have not used your red shirt, then you can redshirt in that season where you played 4 games or less. This scenario would have counted for Angeli this season if he had not used his red shirt in 2022. However, the NCAA can grant him a medical red shirt this season, which would prevent this season from counting against him, giving him the opportunity to play in college for 2 more years. More than anything right now, may we pray for a full and speedy recovery and for Steve to be happy, healthy, safe, and well in all ways through the process that awaits him. God bless. So, my words to you, Steve, and to the Angeli family, God bless and Godspeed. And as everybody was waiting for breaking news to know what your injury was, some of us were just concerned that you're okay and are praying that you be well. But let it be known this season that though you may not be on the field right now, which is out of your control, what was in your control is that you left the field as the nation's top passer in yards. And you did it in just 3 games. He was on pace to have over 4,000 yards this season, which would make him and Kyle McCord back-to-back 4,000-yard passers for Syracuse, which would undoubtedly, in my opinion, put Steve in a place where he would either be first or close to first in the nation. And even though he went out in the 3rd quarter, he's still in the upper echelon in passing yards. So that goes to show you how many yards he had and how well he was doing, that not even playing a full game, he's still among the nation's best. Godspeed and be well, Steve. We miss you, and I know that the type of person that you are, you'll be rooting, like you said before, for Ricky Collins Jr. Murph, 2 years in a row, Jeff Nixon leading Syracuse's offense and having a fantastic passer in that offense who was able to come in, transfer, and literally be in a situation where they've had very little time. Now, Kyle came in early, so he had spring and fall. Steve only had the fall. But now we're looking at back-to-back years that it's no mistake that Syracuse's offense and Jeff Nixon's planning and Fran Brown and his staff finding the right guys have put Syracuse in a situation where they have been able to bring in extremely talented and consistent quarterbacks.
Yeah, and it's I think it's a testament to their scouting and guys that they're going and finding, and that they've been able to do this 2 years in a row. And obviously Ricky Collins Jr. is a different type of player, so they may not be quite as pass heavy, but we'll see how it goes, and it's one of those things where I think he's a good player and he can easily step in and take over this team, but very likely Steve Angeli will be back next year to reclaim his job and everything, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so looking forward for the best for Mr. Angeli and, of course, his family. The rankings, before we get into that for college football, heading out of Week 4 into Week 5, let's discuss who the top 25 defeated. LSU, after defeating Florida and Clemson and doing those games on the road, LSU played a game that Penn State usually plays. I'm surprised that Penn State let this game be played and didn't already have this team locked up. Southeast Louisiana, and they blew them out 56-10. Miami, I don't know why College Game Day went down to Miami for this game. I feel like there's other games they could have gone down for. But they went for Miami versus Florida, which I thought Florida had no shot in this game. And sad, because I know Murph loves Florida and I know Papa Joe loves Florida, but I did not see Florida having any bit of a chance. They lost 26-7 in this matchup in Miami. Oregon played Oregon State in their in-state rivalry that used to be in the Pac-12. They won 41-7. Florida State played Kent State, beat them 66-10. Texas played Sam Houston. Sam Houston making a move in recent history to challenge themselves in the FBS. They lost 55-0. Indiana played Illinois. This is laughable to me. Both of these teams came in 3-0 against unranked opponents, and Indiana was 19. Illinois was 9. Illinois was ranked last year, and I couldn't figure out why, and I also couldn't figure out why they were above other teams. And here's Illinois playing up against Indiana and got blown the heck out, 63-10. So once again, showing
that is an understatement.
Right. So blown the blank out. Okay. And this goes to show you once again the ballooned rankings of the Big Ten that hold no merit whatsoever. So Indiana a top 10, or Illinois a top 10 team. Yeah. Okay. And then Oklahoma played up against Auburn, and Auburn was 22, Oklahoma 11. Oklahoma has already beaten Michigan. Now they've beaten Auburn 24-17. They beat those teams at home. The question will be, what does Oklahoma look like on the road this season? And then Ole Miss took it to Tulane. Tulane fighting to get in the rankings, and this didn't help them, losing 45-10 on the road to a ranked Ole Miss. Tennessee handled UAB without an issue, 56-24. Texas Tech and Utah was one of the most boring games for the majority of the game, but Texas Tech woke up on the road, won 34-10. And once again, I'm going through the top 25. Georgia Tech handled Temple 45-24. And Vanderbilt, who's a lot better team than people give them credit for. I don't know why South Carolina got punished for losing to them. And Vanderbilt beat Georgia State 70-21. Gross. And, but how about this? How about this? Georgia State scored more points in that game than when Oregon beat the doors off of Oklahoma State early on in the season, 69-3.
Yep.
Then Michigan barely beat Nebraska, 30-27. I had Nebraska winning that game at home. Missouri beat South Carolina 29-20, which means that Missouri will stay ranked and South Carolina will not be. Notre Dame, whatever, beat Purdue 56-30. So they'll stay in the rankings with their first win of the season, an unranked team. And then we look at USC, who defeated Michigan State, 45-31, and USC was number 25 at the time. There's a couple games I want to get into that were not in the top 25. And this is because this conference gets no credit, no respect, and even when it's the funny thing that if they lose a game, no matter what, if they lose to one of these teams that I'm about to mention, the American Conference, if they were to lose these games this week, there would be a message, whether you think this team is good or not, the message would stay the same every year. If the team was good, they would say, serves you right, American, you don't deserve to be on the field, play in your lane. If the team's bad, serves you right, you don't deserve to be on this game, you don't deserve to play in the game, stay in your lane. Whether the teams are good or bad, the response if the American loses in these matchups is stay in your lane. But when the American wins, what do people say? It's a down year. They're not a top 25 team. They stink. What a great year to beat them. Anybody could beat them. So the American does not get the credit when they win these games. But if they lose the game, nobody says, well, that's a horrible team. They just say, serves you right. You don't deserve to play in the game. So I'm bringing up two games. And one of the games that I'm bringing up is the Oklahoma State matchup, because Tulsa has played Oklahoma State close over the years, but they just did not get over the hump. And they were able to do it this time around, winning 19-12 with a new head coach. And they did it on the road at Oklahoma State. That was on Friday. Then on Saturday, Memphis in the Liberty Bowl had a game that went back and forth, and a punch-out fumble ended the game and prevented a field goal when Memphis won the game 32-31 over Arkansas. Now, people will say Oklahoma State got blown out by Oregon. Who cares about Oklahoma State? Mike Gundy's going to be fired, blah, 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 blah. In the Arkansas game, people will say the Razorbacks aren't ranked. Who cares? Blah, 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 blah. Oklahoma State's not a strong team. They're in the Big 12 and not vying for anything. Arkansas is not one of the best teams in the SEC when you play this. But the argument before those games, the SEC is better than the American. The Big 12 is better than the American. The middle of the pack of the American, or of the Big 12 can beat everyone in the American. The middle of the pack in the SEC could beat everybody in the American. The worst team in the SEC can beat the American. The worst team in the Big 12 can beat the American. The conversations going in is the American, well, it can't beat anybody in the SEC or anybody in the Big 12. If they lost these games, stay in your lane would be the comment. When they win these games, it is underappreciated, undercovered, and the comment becomes, yeah, whatever, they beat two unranked teams. Well, yeah, whatever, that's all Penn State's played. Yeah, whatever, that's all Illinois played going into this past week. Yeah, whatever, that's all Indiana played. Yeah, whatever, Notre Dame didn't win a game and they were ranked. So I'm going to give flowers where flowers should be. The American test themselves. They reach out to these conferences and they play the games that they're scheduled to play. And again, when the argument is made that you can't control, where people will make the excuse for Michigan, make the excuse for Ohio State, make the excuse for Penn State, make the excuse for Alabama, make the excuse for Georgia. You can't control where a team is ranked when you play them because you plan the games in advance. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Memphis cannot control where Arkansas was at the time of play because they planned in advance. Oklahoma State and where they were and what team they are this year is out of the control of Tulsa. So again, the argument of They're not ranked. Doesn't matter. They plan the games ahead of time. They have no control over that. And that's the excuse that's been made for Notre Dame for years. So make the excuse for Memphis and make the excuse for Tulsa. They're not a really good team this year. Oh, well, they're playing what's in front of them. Notre Dame hasn't been a really good team either. Penn State hasn't been tested yet. There's a lot of teams that have not been tested. I go to the SEC and I give them credit because in the first 3 weeks, they tested themselves. The Big Ten has not tested themselves at all outside of Michigan's game against Oklahoma and Ohio State's game against Texas. I don't see anybody else getting tested. So the American has to play this gamut of a schedule. And if they win the games, they're not talked about, they're not covered, they're laughed off, and people say those aren't good teams. But UCLA is in the Big Ten. And if Ohio State beats UCLA, they might go up 2 spots. If Penn State beats UCLA, they might go up 3 spots. If Michigan State, for goodness sakes, beats UCLA, they might get ranked. Remember when Purdue was playing Michigan State and they weren't ranked? And then Purdue lost to Michigan State, and then they ranked Purdue for 1 week to make it look like Michigan State had a quality win to warrant them being in the top 15. And then they took Purdue right out of the rankings the next week. This stuff is staged to fit the narrative. The narrative is that the Big Ten's great. And I would argue that Ohio State's great. And Penn State's pretty good. But the rest of the Big Ten's not great. The SEC is great. And they back that up. LSU's good this year. Georgia's been good. Auburn is not a slouch. Got back into the top 25. There's a lot that's coming.
Vanderbilt's actually winning games.
Vanderbilt's good. South Carolina's got a Heisman caliber quarterback. Tennessee's good this year. Y'all aren't ready for what the SEC is going to bring to the table. Because the SEC, they should be the ones with 4 spots. If we're going to give 4 spots to any conference, they should be the ones in the college football playoff saying, you know what? Hey, guess what? Y'all are going to have to play us. How about 3 out of the first 4 games are against an SEC opponent? Who's going to come through that? So I want to give the American the credit where credit is due, because the Americans' record against the quote-unquote power conferences is strong. And when they play these games, when they beat these teams, there's every excuse in the world for these teams. But if they lose to them, it's shut up, American, you don't deserve to be here. So guess what? American, you deserve to be here on Wake Up Call. I respect you for the wins you had. The UAB loss was terrible. But the Memphis win was fantastic against an Arkansas team that trips teams up in the SEC. And the win at Oklahoma State, how many times has Tulsa fought Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and they played a really good game for part of the game, but they didn't finish. You held Oklahoma State to 12 points. So kudos. I commend the American for the schedule they make and for the games they play. And every excuse is made for everybody that plays them. And then they are buried when they lose. So can we not do the hypocritical double standard and say congratulations to Memphis, congratulations to Tulsa, and let's see what they do as they step forward into conference play?
So, my biggest, and we've talked about this a million times. My biggest issue with that right now is that in order for the American to play the SEC and the Big Ten and the ACC and the Big 12, there's only so many games that you can schedule.
Yeah.
The way that these these group of 5 or whatever we're calling them now, conference teams can play the SEC or teams like that is if they schedule them. Why do you think Penn State is playing East Tennessee State or Florida is playing LIU? Because those teams want to play the big conferences. It's not just the American. There's a lot of mouths to feed.
Right.
And there's not a lot of teams to go around. So yeah, they schedule those games, and yeah, they're winning some of those games. But I look at it as the quality of the win or the quality of the loss. I had said, and don't get me wrong, I completely agree now that Miami is the number 2 team in the country. Although Florida played them tough for most of the game. I'm not even going to talk about that. Billy Napier needs to be fired. I've said that about 1,000 times. South Florida, I look at that game that they played against Florida. Then I look at the game they played against Miami. I look at what Florida did against South Florida, and then I look at what Florida did against Miami. I know that South Florida won the game. I am aware that South Florida won the game.
Yeah.
You can't tell me South Florida is a better team than Florida.
They are. They beat them head to head.
And looking at what they did against Miami.
We always talk about the head to head. It doesn't matter.
I know.
Head to head.
I'm going purely off of. I'm taking that game out. I'm saying that yes, they won that one game, but I look at what they did against Miami to judge that. South Florida got destroyed by Miami. It was never a game.
After a 2-hour lightning delay.
Close. It was not even close. Then I look at what Florida did. The final score is not indicative of how the game went. 26-7 is not indicative of how the game went. All those points, basically most of those points were in the fourth quarter. It was 13-7 until 4:08 in the fourth quarter. Florida had to get in the end zone, they didn't. When I look at the South Florida Miami game and I look at those scores, lightning delay or not, it's 28-6 at halftime. It's 35-6 in the third quarter. They get a touchdown to cut it to 23 points, and then Miami scores 2 more touchdowns. That game was never close. That game was never a game where Miami got a little nervous. South Florida had 0 chance to win that game after the kickoff. 0 chance. And yes, you could say it's me picking on South Florida, and I guess I could say that. But I also look back to, and I look at Tulsa. Decent win. You know, it's still a Big 12 team. They're not a very good Big 12 team, but it's still a Big 12 team that you beat. Yeah. Memphis beating Arkansas, again, same thing. Not a very good SEC team, but the SEC is still a gauntlet. So beating SEC teams not nothing to scoff about.
Beating a team that was going to kick an easy field goal by punching the ball out in the last possible seconds. How many teams can do that? So you talk about who's physical, who's good. When people say that you don't deserve to be on the field, if you can punch the ball out of an SEC foe, good for you. And Vanderbilt was supposed to be the bottom of the barrel, and Vanderbilt's a good team now. So I don't think there's anybody in the SEC. Missouri used to be a bad team. They're ranked in. They just beat South Carolina. I don't know if there's a bad team in the SEC. And that's the thing is the SEC is
used to just be Vanderbilt,
right? But it's not anymore. And it used to be
they were so bad.
It used to be Vanderbilt, and it used to be Missouri. It used to be why are these teams here? People didn't even know Missouri was in the SEC. But the SEC is such a good conference. And again, you've made this argument on the show before. You've said they can't, Penn State, Notre Dame, they can't help where people are ranked when they play them. They can't help what happens because they make these schedules ahead of time. And I'm like, okay, then the same excuse flies for Memphis and the same excuse flies for Tulsa. Tulsa can't help what Oklahoma State did in the first couple weeks of play. And neither can Memphis that Arkansas is not ranked. Like, if you play, like South Carolina looked good against Virginia Tech. And South Carolina did good things, and they played spoiler last year to other teams. So when you look at South Carolina coming off of last year momentum, going into this year, and you say, this is what they've done, this is the quarterback that they have. If I beat an unranked South Carolina, that's still a good win. If Tennessee fell out of the rankings,
that's a different kind of unranked, but that's a better
right,
win than Arkansas.
And that's still a good win. Georgia Tech, I thought Georgia Tech was a good team when they were unranked. I picked them to beat Clemson. I said it was going to be a close game, probably one possession down the stretch, could be a field goal game. And what was it? 24-21, field goal game down the stretch, low scoring. I mean, there are teams that are not ranked that are better than people think they are, and there's teams that are ranked that are not as good as people think they are, Illinois. So my frustration
that one's bizarre to me. How did they stay in the top 25?
How? Because they're in the Big
Indiana
Ten.
beat the brakes off of them. They won by 50.
They're in the Big Ten, Murph. There's only, hold on, I have a special memo. It says
how
Big
do
Ten.
you lose as a top 10 team and by 50 and you're still ranked?
Because they're not a top 10 team. That's why.
I know that.
Because they are not a top 10 team.
But how are you going to tell me that you have a team that you ranked in the top 10, they lose by 50 points,
and you keep
and now they're still a top 25 team?
Right. Because
and I don't think Indiana's all that good. Like they're still decent.
Right. But they're not.
They're decent.
They're not great. Okay. But they're going to say that they have.
I'm not going to sit here and say they're great.
But guess what they have now?
They're a solid team.
Guess what they have that they didn't have last year? When they got in the college football playoff for doing nothing. What do they have?
Top 10 win.
They have a top 10 win against a BS team that had no business being in the top 10 or probably the top 25. But at the time of play, they will say that they had that. And that is the crutch that the Big Ten can lean on that the American can't. The American can't go, hey, when we played Arkansas, they were 24. Notre Dame was in the place of Arkansas for doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. No one can sit here and talk to me about quality losses when you have no wins. In order for me to even entertain a quality loss, you have to win a friggin' game. Win a game. And who did they beat? They beat Purdue. Who cares? Okay, you beat Purdue. Purdue's been ranked one time to help out Michigan State in the rankings. That's the only time that they were ranked in recent history. Purdue has done nothing since Drew Brees was there. So Purdue being ranked, a joke. Michigan State being ranked, a joke. Wisconsin, when they're ranked during the year at some point, a friggin' joke. It's a joke. They were talking about Iowa had their first big win this year, Murph. Who did they play this week? After they said it was their first quality win of the season, do you know who they played? Rutgers, the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten. The BS Big Ten. Okay, let me talk to you about the Big Ten for a second. They got, what, an $8 billion contract with television? So you break up the pie based
something
on...
stupid, yeah.
So you break it up based on performance here, Murph. So let me tell you something about this. So who do you think has the biggest piece of the pie? Ohio State, right? And then probably what? Penn State.
Yeah, either Ohio State or Penn State.
Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan's got a big piece. You know what's crazy? And when you split up that piece of the pie and you find out how much money people are getting from TV revenue, Rutgers has to pay the Big Ten. They don't even get any money. So and that's obviously a joke, but I'm saying, Rutgers to be in the Big Ten, they should be paying to be in the Big Ten. Maryland should be paying to be in the Big Ten. Nebraska should be paying to be in the Big Ten. They almost beat Michigan, by the way. But, I mean, again, Michigan is ranked because of what? What has Michigan done? They lost on the road to Oklahoma in their only tough game of the year, and then they barely beat Nebraska on the road in Nebraska. So what are we talking about? This is ridiculous. This is laughable. This is funny business. And when the American wins a game, people say, yeah, you played a crap team. I want to see you play Alabama. I want to see you play this guy. Well, guess what? They can't play Ohio State every year because Ohio State's not going to challenge themselves. You're not going to see the American play Penn State in non-conference because Penn State would rather play nobody. And they respect the American too much, it seems like, because they don't play them. And when you look at UCF and how good UCF was years ago, Alabama's not going to play that game the second week of the season because they couldn't afford to lose. So if these teams are not good, why are their coaches being poached to go to the power conferences? Why are their players being poached to go to the power conferences? Why are the quarterbacks of some of these teams from the American? Darian Mensah from Tulane. By the way, Tulane lost Darian Mensah to Duke, then played Duke and beat Duke. They pulverized Duke. They embarrassed Duke and beat the quarterback that left to go to a better situation, which wasn't a better situation because Tulane spanked them. But, I mean, you look at everything that's happened with the American. They've lost coaches, players and entire institutions to the quote-unquote power conferences that be. If you can't beat them, steal them. And all the coaches they've stolen, all the players they've stolen, and stealing the institutions recently of UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston, and the Americans still beating you. Okay, and what came up in recent conversation? That when the Pac has been trying to align itself, what were the conversations out there? That UTSA, that Tulane, that Memphis, that these schools are being approached. And what did Memphis just do? Memphis just beat an SEC team. So they're going to get approached again. Tulsa just beat Oklahoma State on the road. And people will tell you, Oklahoma State could be ranked 100, could be ranked 2, could be ranked 15, could be ranked 7, could be ranked 48. There's nobody in the Oklahoma State community, in my opinion, that thought that Tulsa's going to come and beat them in any year at any time. But they did.
Yeah.
So the credit goes to them for getting the victories that they had. So we're going to go ahead and take a step aside for a fast break. We know that the college football rankings are out of whack. However, the college football rankings did do one thing that I do want to make mention of before we take a step aside. And that I would like to make mention of is the fact that we are in a place right now where Penn State is not ranked first in the country or second in the country for doing nothing, but Miami is actually above them, as it should be, because Miami has played a tougher schedule. Miami's played some big boy going, and they beat Notre Dame, and they beat Florida. So let's put Miami above the team that played an FCS opponent, and let's stop talking about Penn State being really good. If they show it, then we'll talk. But Penn State, again, has done nothing to challenge themselves. And most of their Big Ten schedule is not going to challenge Penn State. So they once again got...
We'll find out Saturday night.
One of a couple games that will challenge them. Okay? The SEC's got to play a whole season of challenges. Penn State has to play a couple mousetraps in 12 games. And they schedule that. So for the people that complain about the American schedules a gauntlet. Penn State schedules a walk through Candyland. So Penn State, not number 2 anymore. Miami is, but Penn State should be below LSU. They should be below Georgia. And they should also, in my opinion, be below Oregon. But we're going to find out this week where they stand. And Oklahoma's been a pretty darn good 4-0 team. So I would say Penn State for your schedule. If you beat Oklahoma or you beat Texas or you did some of the things that other people have done, then let's have a conversation. But Penn State right now, their 3-0 is smoke and mirrors. They, at best, should be 7th in the country right now, in my opinion. And Texas is 3-1. Don't forget about them. Texas A&M 3-0. Ole Miss 4-0 right now. Tennessee's a good 3-1 team. Georgia Tech's a good 4-0 team. And people are overlooking Georgia Tech, and that's going to be to their own peril. And, congratulations to Notre Dame for not only being in the top 25 for doing nothing, but for going up 2 spots with a record of 1-2. Must be nice to have a BS record and be where you are right now. Syracuse is 3-1, and they just won at Death Valley, which almost nobody does, and they didn't even get a sniff of being in the Associated Press. Didn't receive a single vote from the media. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. I'm just calling out facts, folks. If it's your conference or your team, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm calling out a factual statement. If Penn State beat Texas and beat Florida and beat Oklahoma, I'd be telling you they're the number 1 team in the country right now. But they didn't. They played a weak schedule, and then they took a break so that they could take a nap after taking a nap for 3 weeks. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back after this to talk about the NFL and some sports cards. Stay with us.
Jamesville-DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvalite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvalite ice cream. Jamesville-DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue. in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, are your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You can see them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Head out to the place to be a big kid. No matter what your age is, you can always have that kid spirit at GG Cards and Breaks, getting closer to your favorite players, your favorite teams, as well as those games that you love to play. Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, One Piece, and more, including soccer, hockey, baseball, basketball, and football. They're the only sports card shop that I know that has every MLB, every NBA, and every NFL team with its own box. So if you walk in there and you're a Los Angeles Charger fan and a Boston Red Sox fan and a Oklahoma City Thunder fan, you got a place here in Central New York to look and find some awesome gems. And they have just done a ton with the store itself to reimagine GG Cards and Breaks. It was already amazing. And now with all the new showcases that were purchased by GG Cards and Breaks, Josh Gideon has made an even better design, which I don't even know how you could do that. But he found a way to make it look even more professional, even more elegant, even more upping the ante. I love the showcases, and now there's even more cards to look at. Graded cards and numbered cards, potential one-of-ones, autograph cards, rookie patch autos. You'll find it all at GG Cards and Breaks, as well as all the supplies you need to protect your cards. Head out there this week and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way, or you could just say, DT sent me.
And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world is going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. We have a delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
Many thanks to Myers Creek for all that they do here in our community of Central and Upstate New York. Want to let you know that we will be there for the Wake Up Call Game Day broadcast, and that will be for Syracuse Duke this Saturday, September 27th. We will be the post-game show at Myers Creek, Syracuse Inner Harbor on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, New York. So the kickoff for this Saturday, September 27th, Syracuse versus Duke, is at noon Eastern Time. And then following at approximately 6 p.m., come out and have dinner and drinks with us. And of course, as always, drink responsibly and only drink if you're of age. Come and have some fun with Isaac Elford and myself at Myers Creek on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, New York, this Saturday, September 27th, for the Wake Up Call Game Day post-game show at Myers Creek, Syracuse Inner Harbor, following Syracuse versus Duke. Many thanks to Chick-fil-A-DeWitt on Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. You'll find them on the corner of Bridge and Erie. You can't miss them. It is a massive brick building right there on the corner with a double drive-through and so many wonderful, wonderful people working at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, led by Megan Sorber. Go see her and her team as she has employed the community in the surrounding high schools and colleges, bringing the family together here in Central and Upstate New York and serving your family at Chick-fil-A DeWitt. And we look forward to seeing you there. With that being said, Murph and I are back here to talk about what's going on in the world of the NFL, and the Jaguars, folks, are 2-1. Jacksonville Jaguars getting it done and have won within their division here in their first divisional game of the season after beating the Panthers at home 26-10 and losing to the Bengals and backup quarterback Jake Browning 31-27 on the road. They returned home to defeat the Texans in a low-scoring matchup where we saw not one but two running backs get into the end zone. Travis Etienne Jr. and Bajal Tutin, the rookie running back, one of two rookie running backs for Jacksonville, with LaQuint Allen Jr. of Syracuse. Tutin getting into the end zone first, then Travis Etienne Jr. in a low-scoring game where you saw teams right in front of the end zone, but the Jacksonville Jaguars defense able to keep C.J. Stroud and the Texans out of the end zone except for once in this game with a wide-open touchdown to Nico Collins. So Jacksonville improves to 2-1. They'll head to the West Coast for a 4 p.m. Eastern Time game this Sunday, September 28th, on Fox to face off against the 49ers on the road. Murph has the New York Jets, and the New York Jets right now are currently 0-3. They joined the Houston Texans at 0-3. They faced off against Aaron Rodgers and lost that game 34-32. Then they faced off against the Bills. Both of these games were at home, losing to the Bills 30-10 before they went on the road and faced off against a guy who you can never truly believe is out. If you think that you're looking in the hospital and you're thinking, man, I think he's going to flatline. I think the line has got boop, and the line has got boop. That is Baker Mayfield, baby. That man never stops. 29-27 gets the victory over the Jets on the road in Tampa. So the Jets will now face the Dolphins in their second AFC East divisional game of the season, and that game will be on Monday night on ESPN, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, September 29th, a week from today. Murphalation Station, what are your thoughts on the Jaguars 2-1 and the Jets 0-3?
Well, I'll start with the Jets because I'm going to keep it brief. They suck. This is not a surprise.
Yeah.
And I give them a lot of credit for fighting in that game. And, they were down big. And then in the fourth quarter, they scored 21 points to make it interesting.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor did not play well in the absence of Justin Fields. Less than 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick, sacked 4 times, ran the ball for 48 yards. Breece Hall literally got 9 carries and 4 catches. So something was severely off with that. But they're terrible. Defense sucks. Offense is, we got to wait to see what Justin Fields does when he comes back. But if the Bills game is evidence of anything, it's going to be a long year. And I still like Justin Fields. I have nothing against Justin Fields. He had a bad game against the Bills. I'm not going to hold that against him because he played great against the Steelers. And obviously he didn't play this week, so I can't judge him based on this week. Will he be back against Miami? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. If he does and they win that game, then great. Then we're back in it. Then they get to host the Cowboys, and then we go to London to play the Broncos, and then come back home to play the Panthers. So we're going into an easier part of our schedule, because then we also play the next handful of games the Jets play. They play the Dolphins, Cowboys, Broncos. Broncos might be a game they lose. Panthers, Bengals, Browns, Patriots.
Yeah.
There's not a game I'm legitimately scared of until they play the Ravens the Sunday before Thanksgiving. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games.
Yeah.
I'd say 4 of which with Miami, Carolina, the Browns, and maybe the Bengals or Patriots, either one. 4 of them are very winnable games. The other 3 are, maybe a coin flip, semi-winnable. Like they could beat the Cowboys. I don't know. They could beat the Broncos. They could beat the Patriots / Bengals. Take your pick. Mm-hmm. But to me, I'm not exactly gonna get too. I'm not gonna get too excited right now. We'll see what happens in a few weeks. But I'm liking the Jags, man. They look good. Trevor Lawrence has been meh. But they're winning football games, and I'm happy to see it. Travis Etienne's been running the ball well. 16 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. He's been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Trevor's got to get a little more control of the football. I mean, that's kind of the big one. But
and they have to stop dropping passes as well.
That too. But I think the bigger surprise is the Houston Texans being 0-3. And looking at the top of that division, the Indianapolis Colts,
Daniel Jones
at quarterback, are 3-0.
And I told people Daniel Jones, he learned from the quarterback guru.
Daniel Jones.
He learned from David Cutcliffe.
3-0.
Yeah. He learned from David Cutcliffe, who trained Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, sent a bunch of guys to the NFL. David Cutcliffe, the former head coach of the Duke Blue Devils, who have almost the exact same jersey as the Indianapolis Colts, so maybe it's just good for him to get back into familiar digs. Daniel Jones is a guy that I love to talk with, love to cover, had the opportunity to interview him, saw him at ACC kickoff. David Cutcliffe, no joke, consistently has trained quarterbacks that have gotten into the NFL and had success, including Peyton and Eli, who are multi-Super Bowl champions, both of them. And here's Daniel Jones that people dogged and said it was a wasted pick. They shouldn't have done it. It was such, big mistake. Why did they do this? Why did they keep him and not Saquon, which was stupid? And I will agree that was stupid. But Daniel Jones,
was stupid.
When you look at the Daniel Jones thing, I mean, I was sitting here defending this guy out of college, saying that I was happy for him, that I wanted him to get picked, that I wanted him to go to the NFL, that I believe in David Cutcliffe, that anybody that's trained by David Cutcliffe and has some success, I'm going to look to and I'm going to pay attention to. And here's Daniel Jones, and the world's like, how the hell is this guy good? Because he was good. He went to a team that let go of their number one running back. Part of Daniel Jones' career, Saquon was injured. The offensive line's been terrible. And they've never had a receiver before Malik Neighbors that they could lean on while Daniel Jones was there. So again, a quarterback getting blamed for things that have nothing to do with him. And they got rid of Evan Engram, which was a big mistake. So Daniel Jones, why is he good?
And it's not like he hasn't won a playoff game.
Right. So why is Daniel Jones good?
He has won a playoff game.
Why is he good now? Because he's on a team that has a strong running back who's healthy, because the offensive line's giving him time, because he's got receivers, because the offense is moving in a good direction and there's good planning.
Because he's not tripping over his own feet.
Hey, listen, boy can run. Man can run. So all I'm saying
when he
is,
doesn't trip in the open field.
I have some love for Daniel Jones, and I had love for Daniel Jones when he was in college. And now Daniel Jones is 3-0. By the way, the AFC, in their 4 divisions in the AFC, 3 of the 4 divisions have a team that's 3-0. In the NFC, 3 of 4 divisions have a team that's 3-0. So we are seeing 6 teams right now with a record of 3-0, and those teams are in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, in the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts, in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers, in the AFC North, there is no one that's undefeated. The Bengals and the Steelers are both 2-1, and in the NFC East, the Eagles are 3-0. The
Barely.
reigning Super Bowl champions. Yeah, barely. They almost lost to the Cowboys in week 1. In the NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 3-0, with Baker Mayfield having multiple comeback games. And in the NFC West, 2-0 with their backup quarterback, Mac motherfreaking Jones, baby. They are 3-0, hails from Jacksonville, Florida, as his birthplace, and was a Jaguar most recently. Mac Jones is 2-0, and the Niners are 3-0 in the NFC West, and the NFC North has no undefeated teams. The Packers and the Vikings are both 2-1. The defeated teams, there's 2 in the NFC and there's 4 in the AFC. The 2 in the NFC, the New Orleans Saints in the NFC South are 0-3, and the New York Giants in the NFC East are 0-3. In the AFC, the Jets and the Dolphins, both in the AFC East, accounting for half of that division, are 0-3. And in half of the AFC South, the Texans and the Titans are 0-3. So of the winless teams and of the undefeated teams, Murph, I know you kind of mentioned this a little bit with the Texans, but of the teams that are defeated, who are you most surprised with? And of the teams that are undefeated, who are you most surprised with?
I mean the teams that are 0-3, definitely Houston. I mean that's the most surprising one, and look, CJ Stroud is not playing well.
Yeah,
I'm a little surprised at that. I mean, they're kind of starting to rely a little bit on Nick Chubb to run the football, and he's coming off a major injury, and I don't know how that's going to really go. Miami's a little bit surprising too. It's another one of those teams that you look at. I mean, you look at some of the numbers, and Tua has struggled to this point. He's not able to really get the ball out to his guys, and he's got 4 interceptions. Achan's not exactly running the ball well. Tyreek Hill can only do so much with Tua at quarterback at the moment, and their defense is brutal. It's really bad. Of the 3-0 teams, though, I mean, I don't think it's much of a surprise to say that the most surprising team is the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
But the San Francisco 49ers also are a team that's a little surprising that they're 3-0. Granted, Brock Purdy's only played half a game. Mac Jones has played 2.5 games, and they're 3-0. So, are we starting to see, was it Mac Jones or was it Bill? Because clearly Bill might have been the problem. I don't think Bill Belichick's the greatest coach that ever lived anymore. We thought it when Brady was there, but then Brady goes and wins another championship with the Bucs.
Yeah.
And then the Patriots didn't do anything to the point where he gets fired. And now he's at North Carolina and he's not doing much. Got blown out by TCU in week 1. So maybe it wasn't Mac Jones. Maybe it wasn't. So who knows? I mean, I know a buddy of mine has a crap ton of Mac Jones cards, and he's probably very happy with how he's playing right now and selling a bunch of them. But to me, the biggest surprise is the Colts. But then again, you look at who they've played so far. The Colts, as great as Daniel Jones has played, they've played the Dolphins, who are 0-3.
Yeah.
The Titans, who are 0-3. Mm-hmm. And the Broncos, who they beat by 1, who are 1-2. Yeah, the Broncos is a good win, but they blew out the other 2 teams because they stink. I think it's more of a testament to the Colts being a pretty good team than, how bad the other two teams are. But, we'll see. I mean, they play the Rams this week. That's going to be a tough test for them. Rams are a good team. Then they play the Raiders, then they play the Cardinals, then they play the Chargers, who are also 3-0.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, it's not a lot of stuff has happened so far, obviously, but for me, I think Colts on the positive side, Texans on the negative side are pretty surprising, and how about the Chiefs being 1-2, huh? I mean, they only pulled away from the Giants in the fourth quarter last night.
Well, and they got very listen. What a wonderful schedule that you ended up with the Giants in week 3, or I think the Chiefs would have been 0-3. So, I mean, playing a team that
maybe not, but still, they lost to who did they lose to? They lost to the Chargers, who are proven to be a pretty good team, and they lost to the Eagles.
Lost to the Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
The Eagles, obviously, are defending Super Bowl champions, so that's, you can't get on them for losing that game. Chargers is a divisional matchup in Brazil that they played.
Yeah.
If they flip-flop the Ravens game, yeah, maybe they are 0-3, but they can still easily beat the Ravens. They can easily beat the... all right, let's look at their schedule the rest of the way. Ravens, coin toss, but I'm going to probably say they can win that game. Jaguars, they probably win that game. Lions, coin toss, could go either way. I'd give it to the Chiefs because they're at Arrowhead. Raiders, at home, they're going to beat them. Commanders, they're going to beat them. Bills, I say the Bills beat them because it's in Orchard Park. So that's 3 losses. Chiefs, Broncos in Denver. We got to see how they do. I'm going to probably still pick the Chiefs. Chiefs, Colts, I'm probably still picking the Chiefs. Chiefs, Cowboys, I'm probably still picking the Chiefs. Chiefs, Texans, I'd go Chiefs. Chiefs, Chargers. We'll see. Chargers already beat them once, so you figure they're probably not going to beat them twice, so maybe they split. I still have the Chiefs for 13 wins. Those first 2 games they played were tough.
Don't count out that the Raiders, a really, really good Chiefs team.
That's why I said 13 and not 14.
Yeah, they trip up.
Because I counted the second Raiders game as one of their losses.
I don't know if the Chiefs are going to get to 13 this year, but we shall see. I do want
Even
to.
if they don't, they're going to be back in the AFC Championship, and they're probably going to go to the Super Bowl and yada yada yada.
Wouldn't it be nice though,
every freaking year
to see Bills and
Ravens? It would be so nice to see somebody else.
Bills and Ravens.
Please.
That'd be awesome.
I know they're in my division, but can we get the Bills to the Super Bowl so Josh Allen can get a ring, please? Please.
He should have one. So, and I think he will when all's said and done with things. But let's take a look.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a look at, so you gave yours, you gave your thoughts on who you believe is the biggest surprise at 3-0 as well as at 0-3. And so I'm going to give some different answers. It would be easy for me to echo your sentiments here, but I'm going to give some different answers for the sake.
Well, you kind of gave me the old the last Texas Roadhouse roll here, so you can kind of pick kind of different one, yeah.
Yeah, you got the opportunity to, obviously make mention that the Colts, very surprising.
It's the easy answer.
To be 3-0 and, at 0-3 to look at a team like the Houston Texans. So let me give a different argument here. I think another big surprise at 0-3, the Miami Dolphins, because Tua is not injured. So, you look at Miami and you say, okay, Tua Tagovailoa, when you look at the record, you don't anticipate that a healthy Tua Miami Dolphins team will ever be completely defeated. And with Miami having the schedule that they've had up to this point, the Miami Dolphins played at the Colts and got blown out. Surprising. They lost to the Patriots, who's a team that I think is going to be better this year, but still a little bit surprising there with having Tua. And then losing to the Bills on the road, that one makes sense. But you would think that Miami would have at least one win in these first couple weeks, and they don't. And I think people not paying attention to the NFL would first thing out of their mouth, well, is Tua injured? Is Tua out? Is that why they're 0-3? No, he's healthy. He's playing. Really? So, I think that Miami is a surprise because Tua's out there and they're 0-3. And then the other surprising 3-0 that I would give is, I mean, you talked about Indianapolis. It's San Fran. I mean, San Fran being 3-0 and not having Brock Purdy for the majority of those games. And Mac Jones, listen, I predicted that Mac Jones, I said, if the NFL is stupid enough to allow Mac Jones to fall to the 15th overall pick, Bill Belichick will take him. And he did. And it didn't work out. And Mac Jones went to Jacksonville. And that was a great backup for them. 2 guys drafted in the top 15 in the 2021 NFL draft. Trevor Lawrence first and Mac Jones 15th, and they were on the same team. Awesome opportunity for Jacksonville to have a high-quality backup. And, well, Dan, how do you know he's a high-quality backup? Because he's undefeated right now. And he's doing this thing in San Francisco. Credit to him. He's finding the guys. And this is a team that's winning without Deebo Samuel, winning without Brock Purdy. So you look at Christian McCaffrey, looks like himself. They're winning without George Kittle. I mean, this is a San Francisco team that you would expect would be 0-3. And they're 3-0. So I have to shout out Mac Jones, and I have to shout out the work that he's doing and the fact that he's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. Remember, he played at Alabama, folks. And then beyond that, I would also mention the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't think that people thought that this was going to be a 3-0 team in the second year of Jim Harbaugh. So I think the Chargers are another team that has won some really tough games, beaten some really difficult opponents. They've won inside of their division. The Los Angeles Chargers are not just winning, they're making statements. They beat all 3 games that they played have been divisional games. How many teams in the NFL have started their first 3 weeks only playing their division? They have set themselves up not just to be 3-0 and be good in the NFL, but they've set themselves up in their division that now they have an opportunity to sweep the Chiefs, sweep the Raiders, and sweep the Broncos. They're 3-0 in the AFC West. This is massive. They beat the Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They won at the Raiders, and they beat the Broncos at home in Los Angeles. They're not only winning, all of their games are divisional games. So the Los Angeles Chargers are in the best position of any 3-0 team right now in the NFL because of who they beat on the road to their wins. So I'm going to shout out the Chargers for being a surprise, and I'm going to shout out, as well, the San Francisco 49ers for both being 3 and this many, that big old 0. So let's go to our sports card show and tell to round out the show, because then your boys got to get over to this Fran Brown press conference. So Murphalation Station for the nation. I was already going to talk to Fran about Ricky Collins and Steve Angeli. I was already going to talk to Fran about never beating Clemson in Death Valley in Syracuse football history until now, and only having 2 wins before this past weekend over Clemson ever. And one of them came a million years ago, and then the other one came at home in the Dome. And now with Syracuse being fined, that's going to come up. So there's a lot of discussion to be had. But let's get into sports cards.
Guarantee that's the first question that's asked.
Oh, it's Murph.
Guarantee that's the first question he's asked.
Murph, whatever negative thing that you can come up with, that is the first one. Now, unless they let me ask the first question, unless they allow me to ask the first question, and I got a whole list of things that I want to talk to Fran about today. I'm like, everybody might as well leave. Just let me talk to Fran, because I got a lot of things I want to talk to Fran about. But that's coming up very soon, but not before we do Sports Card Show and Tell. So let's jump right into it. Here, proudly presented by GG Cards and Breaks, our sports and trading card shop of choice, 639 Delmar Place, Syracuse, New York, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5, and this week on Thursday, September 25th. I was trying to plan out my week, and I was planning something for Thursday, and it wasn't working out, and that was God looking out, because I forgot that I was double booking myself. Thursday, September 25th at the Wildcat Sports Pub. GG Cards and Breaks takes their trade night on the road. We'll see you at the Wildcat this Thursday, September 25th from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Cannot wait to be out there. I got a bunch of cards, including these newbies, to show you, but I'm going to defer to Murph first to let you know what it is. We look forward to seeing you at trade night this Thursday, September 25th, Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue. Be there at 6. We can't wait to see you all in the community, and thanks for literally packing that entire room every time we end up over there.
Hopefully, I can make it up there for maybe the last one of the year that they do. Figuring that's probably going to be like November, December time, something like that. But I'll start small. I was at the Philly show this week, so we picked up, got some good cards in a couple of lots. I picked up this Collegiate Sparkle Paolo Banchero rookie out of Optic. This was cool. I actually got this in the exact same lot.
I'm going to lighten your screen for a second, Murph, so you can show that so we don't have the... So go ahead and show that again. There we go.
There we go. The old sparkle there. I got this card in the same lot, but I also got a LeBron James one of these, and I actually already sold it. It's the first year of Prism, and it's Anthony Davis.
Oh, nice.
On the first year Prism. We also then have, this is another small one, a Tyrese Maxey Prism Silver, PSA 9. I'm happy to get my hands on one of these. I feel like I might have already gotten one this year, but I don't know. It is a home field advantage Juan Soto with the big apple behind him in his Mets uniform. Love that. This was cool. I picked this up on Saturday night at trade night. This is out of 2025 Sterling, so it's a brand new card. It is looks like a jersey and 2 bats. It is numbered out of 10. It is jersey numbered out of 10. I didn't even realize that. 7 out of 10. Trey Turner.
That's cool.
Of the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a card that will probably sell well at Fishtown next weekend. We've got a 2018 Playbook Bronze rookie of Mr. 3-0 himself, Josh Allen. Picked this one up on Saturday, too. This is a second-year Contenders auto out of 25, PSA 10 of Kyler Murray.
Kyler.
And then we've got... I'll save the big ones for last.
Yeah.
We've got a National Treasures RPA of Jack Campbell out of 99.
Nice.
We've got a what the heck is this called? I think it's Razzle Dazzle from 2024 Donruss Elite of Josh Allen. Here we go, and then this is the biggies. These are the couple biggest cards I picked up on Saturday night. We've got out of first off the line a rookie ticket auto numbered to 23. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
We've got a 4-color RPA on-card auto of Jalen Hurts. Nice. Also Mr. 3-0. We've got a Panini 1 sealed 4-color patch on-card RPA numbered to 49 of another 3-0 quarterback, Justin Herbert. And then the big one, this was definitely the most expensive card I picked up this weekend. By the way, the Mahomes that I showed last week, that has been sold. So I no longer have that. This one is not on-card auto, unfortunately, but that is okay because his on-card RPAs are very expensive. This is numbered to 99, and it is a freshman fabric RPA out of Certified of Josh Allen.
That one's awesome, yeah.
That was a big one. That card was $900 on its own.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I got that. So those last 3 cards I showed you, the Herbert, the Hurts, and the Josh Allen.
Yeah,
I paid $1,850 for those cards. So safe to say, I spent quite a bit of money on those 4. That is for sure.
Yeah, and
what do you got?
If Mama Murphy is listening, he said he spent $18.50. He just moved the decimal to the wrong place.
She don't care. Well, she does, but she doesn't.
I know. Love Mama Murphy.
She would care about another story that I can tell you off air that was quite amusing.
Mom and Pop. So, Brevin Spanford. This is from Topps. It's a refractor. It's numbered. It's out of 179. Of a Dallas tight end that we have here. So this is one of my numbered cards. I did 2 box breaks over the weekend. One was Topps Signature 2024, and the other was 2025 score. I got a bunch of rookies from the 2025 score. This is Ladd McConkey's Topps rookie that we have here, so just having a rookie card of Ladd. And then this was cool. Not only did I get rookies that came in the score box, but I got a bunch of guys that I know and or I've interviewed. And so, I mean, there's some rookies here like Jordan James, I think Mike Green was on the show, who went to the Ravens, and then Kenneth Grant, Jalen Noel. So there's a bunch of rookie cards that I was able to pick up, but these are the ones that I top loaded as guys that I got to talk with. So Jack Sawyer of the Ohio State Buckeyes was at his
He's a good one.
college football playoff semi and national championship, and winning the national championship, a Pittsburgh Steeler. And so I have his rookie card, interviewed him. This guy, Quinn.
He was a projected #1 pick for a while.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers, I got him as well. So I have Quinn, who I interviewed en route to them to the Final Four there, was at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl with Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorns in the win over Arizona State. And in their Final Four.
Is it time for him to play yet?
I think it may be. And I've been talking to people about him before the season even started. That's why I said it would be good for Kyle McCord to go to Miami. Quinn Ewers of Texas, his rookie card. And I was with him at the Final Four game against Ohio State. This man sat right next to me, arm in arm, with his teammate, Rajay Harris, the running back, and Rajay working to have his time in the NFL. Siobhan Revell Jr. of the East Carolina Pirates going to the Dallas Cowboys. Love that I got a Siobhan Revell card because I love sitting in with him. This guy I was high on when they started their season for the Arizona Wildcats, and that's Teteroa McMillan. And so Teteroa, a lot of people high on him in fantasy football leagues, including the Wake Up Call fantasy football leagues. He's a Carolina Panther, and I was telling people about Teteroa before other people were talking about Teteroa. And Teteroa McMillan, happy to have his rookie card. I actually sold the autograph I had of him a long time ago. I think I got it and sold it. And
Can I also say real quick how happy you must be that I told you to sell your J.J. McCarthy auto?
Dude, that J.J. McCarthy thing, I was trying to sell it. I just wanted a good offer. And I got an offer. I had it for $210, and I believe the kid offered me $170 or $175 we agreed upon, which was perfect for me. And it was more than what I paid. Travis Hunter.
But realistically, you'll be able to buy another one of those in probably 5-6 weeks for like $110.
I sold one for. I sold the RPA for $110, and I sold the smiley face graded one for $170. So, $280 between the two of them. Let's take a look at.
And his market has plummeted.
Oh, I'm sure it
has.
So
all you guys out there,
Caleb Williams is probably going up.
No.
Caleb Williams? I would think he's going up right now.
The only rookie quarterback a second-year quarterback whose cards are going up right now is Spencer Rattler. And it's only because he was announced as the starter, so people were investing in him. But Daniels has gone down, McCarthy's gone down, Bo Nix has gone down, Drake May has gone down. Every single one of them, their prices have gone down, and they're going to continue to go down, basically regardless of what they're doing. I think I cracked the code on second-year quarterbacks, and we talked about this on the show. So if you have any of those rookie quarterbacks, sell them now before they continue to go down even further. But I hope you already sold them as per what I had, my advice that I had given all of you.
Yeah, my Bo Nix autograph went, my Michael Penix Jr. autograph went, my Teteroa McMillan autograph went, and JJ went at the Collector Fest. Shout out to Lynn and the crew from Collector Fest for having a great show.
They're doing that again, October
19th, 2 days before my birthday. Toy Fest is on the 18th, but I will be at the Syracuse Pitt game. And so, because I was like, why didn't I do both? And then I was like, oh yeah. So I will be there. So Saturday, October 18th, it will be Syracuse Pitt in the Dome, and Wake Up Call game day will be live at Syracuse Inner Harbor at Myers Creek. And then on Sunday, October 19th, I will be at Collector Fest at the fairgrounds. And then 2 days later, I'll be celebrating my birthday. So insert rookie of Travis Hunter. My first rookie of Travis Hunter that I pulled. I do have a Travis Hunter Hot Rookies, but this is one that I pulled, and it's an insert. So happy I got one that was from a pull that I did. Ashton Genty's rookie card. Very high on Mr. Genty. Got his. Of course, my guy, that I've known for many years. My first Riley Leonard rookie card. Shout out to Riles, who is there in Indianapolis. Then I got a jersey patch turquoise of Tyreek Hill of Miami that I pulled in the box break for his score. And I got a numbered card here of Caden Prather, and this card is numbered to 299, I believe, and it's a refractor here of the Bills rookie. So I was able to pull this. It actually has circles in the refractor, and you can see those up in the corner. And then my other two cards that I got, a clear rookie refractor of Trey Benson that you can see right through, so you could see my hand. So I got a Trey Benson.
That's nice. He's going to be their starter. He's going to be their starter for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so that was good to pull that rookie card at the time that I did. And I got this high draft pick. Some of you may not know him because he's a defensive player, but he was drafted in the second round here in 2025. I have his autograph of Tyvondre Sweat, and it is his rookie class auto, and a pretty nice auto there, a very clean looking auto for the Tennessee Titans. So that's what I pulled from my box breaks of note, and I'll be bringing them with me with all my other cards that I have, including the graded cards that I have left, and my Cam Ward auto that people walk by not even knowing that it's Cam Ward, and then when I say it, they're like, oh. So hopefully that'll go as well, and those will all be this Thursday, September 25th, 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on-site on location, GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night in partnership with the Wildcat Sports Pub on site at the Wildcat. Can't wait to have some really awesome pizza and wings. And, of course, very happy that Wake Up Call is in partnership with these as well. So that's what I got to show to all of you. And I might be making Murph some offers on his stuff. By the way, 2 weeks in advance, we have the game time notification. So Syracuse at SMU will kick off in Dallas, Texas at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which will be 2:30 p.m. for SMU and everybody there in Dallas. Murph, thank you as always for being here with us. Thanks for the extended show.
Real quick, two things real quick before we go. I got one of them. Go Team USA in the Ryder Cup. I may or may not be there this week, but the other thing I got to grab. Hang on, real quick.
So
right to the side here.
Murph going to grab something. Want to remind you here while Murph is doing that, Wake Up Call is with you on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT worldwide, as well as on internet streaming radio on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And, of course, under promise, over deliver, as we're here with you today at past noon. And you can find Wake Up Call on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. This episode will be added in parts so that you have each element of this conversation, and that is going to be by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on all of these wonderful channels. You can also ask Alexa and Google devices to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. Go ahead, Murph.
All right. So you guys might have noticed that the wall behind me is a little bare. There's nothing on the wall right now. I got to work on putting these things up, but there's three things, and I'll show them real quick. So the first one, you guys know this has been on my wall for probably 4 or 5 years. At this point, trying to get that up. So the first one,
Mr.
Tebow jersey has been framed. Well, all three of these are framed jerseys, but that's the Tebow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Guy at oh shoot, I already forgot Wow Factor Sports is the guy that did it. He did an amazing job. So these things came out awesome. So that's Tebow.
And then Murph going to get another one here. What we got?
Wyatt Langford is the next one.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
He did a great job with this one too. And then the last one, obviously, my personal favorite, is the Piazza.
Mike Piazza. Nice.
That is, and what I had him do too, because he does pictures at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's the picture I got with Piazza. And then that one is one of the pictures after the first game after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to make sure I showed those off because I have to. Those are the Piazza jersey especially. The Piazza jersey especially is basically my prized possession now.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So those will be going up. We'll see those in Murph's studio eventually. And I want to let everybody know here that we do have that game time set. We also have the network set for Syracuse at SMU on the football field Saturday, October 4th. The game will be at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will be on ESPN2 or the ACC network. So they have the right to make a decision on what that's going to be. But for most of you, you'll be able to see it. And, of course, you can watch those games at Myers Creek. With that being said, Murph, thanks as always for the time, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Happy to see that your jerseys are now encased and well taken care of. They look beautiful, and now I feel like I need to follow suit and figure out what I'm going to encapsulate myself. But awesome stuff as always. Looking forward to talking with you. Have a great week and stay safe.
You as well, my friend. Go Team USA for the Ryder Cup. Take it back on home soil.
That coming from Murph. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we got to jump over to the press conference with Fran Brown, so we're going to do that. And not before I want to thank all of our wonderful partners in Central and Upstate New York. Many thanks to the team that we get to work with here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Cannot thank them enough. Great Lakes, Honda City, Carvel-DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Myers Creek in both locations in Casanova and the Syracuse Inner Harbor, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A DeWitt, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, Pizza Man, Game Point Sports Complex, Brian's Landing, Avicoli's, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You'll find the Bobcats every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and what we call the Bobcat Buzz, with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show here where sports truly meets that thing called life. Find it all by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and on Wake Up Call youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the BSC Syracuse playlist, and you'll also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show throughout the year. You'll find it all by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel. You will also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. The Onondaga Community College Lasers are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your lasers every single month, every other Wednesday. So every other Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time bi-monthly. So the next one will be coming up on Wednesday, October 1st to start off my birthday month. And of course, can't wait to talk with the lasers. Once again, you'll find all of our content with Onondaga Community College by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt for the Laser Lounge. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our OCC playlist. You'll also find the lasers on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to onondagalasers.com and go Lasers. With that being said, want to thank Game Point Sports Complex for partnering with us for everything we get to do together, including our monthly video series exclusively brought to you by Game Point Sports Complex, which premiered today, and that being Who's Got Next, the inaugural episode with Brandon Triche. It's going to air as its own individual special on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook channel, so you can see it at Wake Up Call DT today. Thanks to Brendan Murphy for our coverage of Major League Baseball, NCAA football, the NFL, and Sports Card Show and Tell, brought to you by GG Cards and Breaks. We look forward to talking with you all very soon, and in the meantime, find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless, no stress, do your best, stay safe, be good to each other and to yourself.